Chapter 1137. Li Fan smiled bitterly. Luckily, his helmet was covering his face. No one could see his current sorry state. The corner of his mouth tasted sweet and fishy. It was not a pleasant smell. You are indeed the daughter of the Murong family. Murong Bo was overjoyed. Come, kill him for father. Murong Bo didn't dare to be confident that he could kill Li Fan after exchanging palms with Li Fan for a long time and consuming their internal energy. But with Murong Ying's help, it would not be a problem. They must kill Li Fan. This person could not be left alive. Who dares? Imperial concubine Zhou was furious. Murong Bo's family was too despicable. Stop her! Murong Bo roared. A group of men dressed in black appeared on the rooftops of the villa. They were all death warriors trained by the black market merchant. These people disregarded everything and rushed towards Imperial concubine Zhou and the rest. Imperial concubine Zhou and Yan Kai tried to rush out of the range of these people to help Li Fan. But there were too many death warriors. Every one of them was not afraid of death. They fought with their lives on the line. For a moment, they were stopped. Damn it! The demon fox behind Imperial concubine Zhou kept killing the death warriors in front of her. She was an undead evil god, but she was stopped here. This was a great humiliation. Yan Kai and Guan Wenbao were very anxious. Li Fan was there. They could not let anything happen to him. Murong Ying stood there and did not move. Trash! Murong Bo was furious. He stared at his beloved daughter. Her character was too similar to his younger self. Back then, he had almost given up everything for the sake of the woman he loved. It was only when he nearly lost his life that he was enlightened and came to a realization. In this world, other than himself, no one was more important and worthy of trust. He had to become stronger so that no one would dare to betray him. Murong's eyes were red, and she had already arrived in front of Li Fan. A Bear King seal went straight for the center of Li Fan's eyebrows. Li Fan wanted to fight back, but he was still affected by the palm strike. The second stage of martial god was also a double-edged sword. Although one's strength increased, one's essence energy was also depleted rapidly. His body stiffened slightly. He didn't even have time to make a move. At this moment, a petite figure appeared in front of Li Fan. Murong Bo was shocked. At the last moment, he had withdrawn most of his power. However, this palm still landed solidly on the figure's shoulder. Bang! A soft body crashed into Li Fan's arms, and he hugged her tightly. Shao I. Li Fan looked at Murong, who was lying in his arms, and his heart almost stopped. Daughter. Shao I. Murong Bo and Murong Ying were also frightened. The two of them moved forward, but were forced back by Imperial concubine Zhou. Imperial concubine Zhou's demon fox spat out a ball of true qi, which hit the ground. The two of them retreated in panic. Shao Ai, quickly circulate your qi and heal your injuries. Li Fan didn't have any more rejuvenation pills on him. He placed his palm on Murong's back and healed the clotted blood in her internal organs. Brother-in-law, don't be afraid. I can't bear to die. Murong coughed out 2 mouthfuls of blood and said weakly. You silly girl, why did you run out? When did I need you to save me? Idiot! Li Fan wanted to scold her, but he was reluctant to do so. I don't know. I just ran out like that. Murong wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. If I bleed, I will definitely become ugly. Brother-in-law will hate me. No, you are the prettiest. Li Fan comforted Murong. Don't talk, quickly circulate your qi and heal your injuries. Li Fan, let go of my daughter. Murong Bo's eyes had turned completely red as he roared again and again. For him, his two daughters were his reverse scale. Murongbo waved his hand, and the war god behind him condensed a powerful true chi, which gathered into a huge chi pearl. Otherwise, I will kill all of you. Kill me. Murong Ai coldly looked at her father. Kill me too. Daughter. You, what are you saying? How can father bear to touch a single hair of yours? Murongbo hurriedly said. He looked at his little daughter's eyes with infinite gentleness. Good. Come back, don't learn from your sister. Don't be soft-hearted to outsiders. I have been with brother-in-law day and night, he is no longer an outsider. Murong Ai let Li Fan support her as she slowly stood up and looked at her father. Don't talk nonsense, we are a family. Dad is doing this for your own good, come back. I have had enough. My sister and I have lived with brother-in-law for so long, our feelings are so deep. But you, because of your ambition, you will change your face at any time, and then harm brother-in-law, forcing us to separate. Murong Ai was not afraid at all. She finally took off her cute mask in front of everyone and took out the attitude of a little witch. How do you love me and my sister? You keep saying it is for our good, but in fact, isn't it for yourself? I have had enough, I don't want to live like this anymore. From today onwards, I, Murong Ai, draw a line with Murong family. Murongbo, you are no longer my father. Muronging, you are no longer my sister. You guys, just pretend that you don't have a family like me. You, what are you saying? Murongbo's heart was filled with fear. The truth. Murong Ai's eyes were firm. That's it, I have made up my mind. From now on, whatever happens to Murong family has nothing to do with me. I, Murong Ai, will live and die with brother-in-law Li Fan. If brother-in-law lives, I will live. If brother-in-law dies, I will die. With that, she held Li Fan's hand tightly and stood beside him. Crazy. Crazy, all crazy. At that moment, Murongbo seemed to have aged a few decades. His originally black hair actually had white strands. Really crazy. Murong, stop it. I will give you one last chance, come back immediately. Muronging reprimanded her sister. Muronging, I am also very disappointed in you. Murong Ai looked at her sister with some mockery in her eyes. Since childhood, I have always admired you, thinking that you can always do things that I can't do. In the end, I was even a little jealous, and wanted everything that you have. Including your martial arts, status, and even the person that you like. She glanced at Li Fan. This man, doesn't he already have your heart? Is it really so difficult to do something for him? Can't you be like me, like and then love bravely? You are still young, so your mouth is full of love. Muronging looked at her sister, but her eyes were full of sadness. I am the heir of the villa. It is not so easy to be the master of the world's #1 villa. She withdrew her eyes and became cold. Love will be willful, but love is responsibility. Murong Ai, do whatever you want to do, from now on, you and I are no longer sisters. She waved 2 fingers, and the sword energy drew a ravine on the ground, with this as the boundary, we are even. Chapter 1138. Why are you still here? Muronging scolded Li Fan and the others. Let's go. Li Fan looked at Muronging a few more times. He waved his hand and left the villa with the people of Phenomenal Escort Agency. Murongbo didn't even have the strength to speak. He stood there dejectedly, looking very sad. Muronging stood in the wind, her hair dancing in the wind. A spring snow was falling slowly. It seemed that it was almost the new year. Murong and the Li family had a great battle, and both sides had suffered great losses. The news spread quickly in the martial arts world. Luo Shuowu, who was far away on the snow-capped mountain, heaved a long sigh of relief when she heard the news. Great! He's still alive. For a moment, the martial arts world, which was struggling at death's door, changed. The Holy War almost swept the entire martial arts world. All the reputable sects either surrendered to the four villas and became the government's dogs. Otherwise, they would be slaughtered to the last man, and not even the chickens and dogs would be spared. Some sects lived in seclusion in the mountains, avoiding the world and living in fear. It didn't mean that everything would be fine if they surrendered to the four villas. These sects were all forced to take the energy-dispersing pill. The energy-dispersing pill was made by Song Fuya. It was specially used to disperse the energy in the dantian of martial fighters. Although it couldn't be achieved overnight, as long as one took it continuously for more than a month, the energy in one's body would disperse, and the dantian would wither. Even if one wanted to practice martial arts, he could only practice to the point of perfection. It was impossible to improve further. That wasn't all. The government issued a ban on martial arts. From then on, no one in the martial arts world was allowed to use martial arts without the government's permission. Anyone who resorted to violence would immediately have their limbs crippled and thrown into the death cell. The former embroidered uniform guard was disbanded, and the commander's whereabouts were unknown. Sima Hui, the master of the Sima family, became the new commander. He established the supervision organization of the martial arts world, the Imperial Guard. The Imperial Guard's job was to uphold the rules of the martial arts world issued by the government and hunt down disobedient martial fighters. The four major alliances began to go into exile, and the Xitigarbha Tomb Keeper was completely destroyed. The White Tiger clan of the Central Plains served the Murong Villa and became the government's lackeys, merging into the Imperial Army. The remaining Whistling West Wind and Laughing Breeze leaning on the sword had already disappeared, hiding from the Royal Army's pursuit. At the same time, they were secretly resisting the Royal Army's dark rule. Rather than saying it was the Royal Guards, it was more like Murongbo's dark rule. Murong's family was the biggest winner of this catastrophe. The escort agencies had also suffered a severe blow, and many of them were forced to disband. The four major escort agencies and 8 smaller escort agencies had all survived, but the experts in the escort agencies had no choice but to take the energy-dispersing pill. Their power had plummeted, and their strength was far from what it used to be. There were also some escort agencies that hid in the dark and sought refuge with the king of the underworld, the Phoenix King. They retained a certain amount of strength, but in the future, they could only hide their heads and show their tails as escorts. Li Fan's Primo Escort Agency had also suffered a blow. Fortunately, he had established the agency as a logistics company, organized a strong transportation network, and had the support of the government. Therefore, his escort agency's strength was completely preserved. Many escorts also came to seek refuge with Li Fan. Even Jean Zhou of the Jean family escort agency had sought out Li Fan to cooperate, hiding under the wings of Primo Escort Agency. At this point, the darkest period of the martial arts world had arrived. The Chinese martial arts world only existed in name. Li Sen, what are you doing here? In the military region where the 12 sacred beasts were, the general saw a thin middle-aged official slowly walking out of a jeep and immediately questioned him. This is my territory. It's not your place to act presumptuously. Major General Ran, how can you say that? The official named Li Sen looked at the Major General in front of him with a smile. This is a place to protect the country. How did it become your territory, Major General Ran Mingran? I'm the person in charge here. The general folded his hands and looked at the official who was 1 rank higher than him. No matter how high your rank is, I have the final say here. Go back. I still have military affairs to attend to. I don't have time to entertain you. I'm here for inspection. This is the number of the military region's commander. Li Xin dialed the number and handed it to the general. The guard took the phone and placed it beside the general's ear. Someone on the phone said something and the general's expression turned ugly. Finally, he gave a military salute to the phone. Yes, I will complete the mission. Great. It seems that you understand. Li Sen looked a little happy. I heard that the new Shangfang sword has been selected. Can you take me to have a look? He's out on a mission. He's not here. The general curled his lips. Hurry up and take a look. Then get lost. Major General Rand's temper is still as bad as ever. I'm already being polite. The general looked coldly at the official in front of him. The holy war plan that you advocated has destroyed thousands of years of Chinese civilization. Li Sen, I really didn't expect that a secretary like you could do such a thing. You're really good. I'm no longer a secretary. Li Sen kept a smile on his face. Also, the so-called civilization is an existence that threatens our rule. Getting rid of them will greatly benefit the stability of society. Major General Ran, you should actually thank me. After all, I've helped you accomplish what you couldn't do. And, you're welcome. You'll suffer retribution. The general cursed fiercely. I'm an atheist. Li Sen didn't care about the general's curse. I'm just doing what I should do. You're just licking the U.S. Emperor's boots. I like to call it cooperation. Li Sen smiled at the general. I'm really happy for you. You were born into a family of the founding fathers. And, you're welcome. The general sent these words back to him. Just wait and see. You'll understand my great achievements. Li Sen walked into the underground base under the accompaniment of the general. At this time, G University. Hide the bow when the birds are done, cook the dogs when the hares are done. I didn't believe this before, but today, I'm completely convinced. Li Fan sat in his apartment and chatted with Bai Lin Luo through the video call. Like I said, the government will have this trick sooner or later. However, Li Island is doing well now. The construction minister from Japan is doing well. You can come back and take a look when you're free. Bai Lin Luo pushed his glasses. Compared to these, I'm more worried about Demon Island. N. Li Fan looked at the CT for English book in his hand and asked Bai Lin Luo. What happened? I thought Demon Island couldn't be found at all. It seems to be the influence left by the prophet. Sometimes, I can sense the mutants around me. So that's how it is. Li Fan thought for a moment. The domestic affairs are still very troublesome. I don't want those guys on Demon Island to awaken. I'll help you keep an eye on things here. Congratulations, your dojo is about to open, right? Yes, it's this afternoon. I'll go there in a while. Li Fan put down the CT4 book. After all, I still have to take the CT4 exam in the morning. Chapter 1139. As a student, the most important thing is naturally his studies. Even if Li Fan has the government's help, he still has to take the grade 4 exam by himself. For his school, if he can't pass the grade 4 exam, he won't be able to get a degree certificate. As for opening the dojo, it is because Xia Ho calculated that today is an auspicious day, so he must open the dojo today. Li Fan can only take the exam in the morning and open the dojo in the afternoon. However, a month before that, Li Fan would be even busier. In this month, he is not busy with anything else but researching on how to create a move. But creating a move is really a flash of inspiration. If he forced himself to do it, he might not be able to do it. Considering that he might have to fight frequently, Li Fan is worried. Half a month ago, after Dragon Girl was sent back by the Saintess, Other than eating every day, she helped Li Fan. Do you want to learn a move? After Li Fan did not have any results for half a month, Dragon Girl finally proudly put down the chips in her hand and looked at Li Fan. I can teach you. What do you know? Li Fan has a face of disbelief. You only know how to eat. Nonsense. Dragon Girl is very dissatisfied with Li Fan's words. And you can still sleep. Li Fan added. You are looking down on our dragon race. Dragon Girl immediately jumped up. She has already returned to her usual young girl's figure, so when she stands up, her height is only as high as Li Fan's chest. But this little girl is quite spirited and arrogantly said. In our dragon race, fighting is a common thing. Back then, the dragon race was divided into 4 major clans, living in the 4 seas. Between the 4 seas, fighting is a common thing. Therefore, every dragon, from the moment they are born, must undergo the most rigorous training. Fighting can be said to be our instinct. Relying on instinct to fight is not enough, I need fighting skills. Li Fan emphasized. Of course we have battle techniques. Do you think that our dragon clan only fights brainlessly? The dragon lady rolled her eyes. The dragon clan has a set of dragon battle techniques. The 4 great dragon clans all have different dragon battle techniques. Oh, because the one who adopted me was a Thunder Clan dragon warrior, I know the Thunder Dragon clan's dragon battle technique. I don't like fighting, but if you want to learn, I can teach you. The dragon lady spoke one thing after another. The world of dragons that she spoke of was like another world to Li Fan. I'm a human, can I learn it too? Yes, the amazing thing about the Battle of Dragons technique is that it can be used in both dragon and human forms. Dragon Lady looked at Li Fan happily, as if she had finally found something to blackmail Li Fan with. What do you think? Do you want to learn? What do you want in return? Li Fan knew that the Dragon Lady would not teach her for nothing. A year-old Australian lobster. The last time I ate it, it was really delicious. Who brought you to eat it, little one? She's still the best to me. You only know how to give me instant noodles. Is instant noodles not delicious? Delicious, that's incredible. Li Fan cursed inwardly. Little Wan was too meddlesome. She must have led this little girl astray when she brought the Dragon Lady and Murong out to play last time. A year-old Australian lobster. Li Fan felt like his heart was bleeding. Dragon Lady, think about it. You're my teacher. Does a teacher need conditions to teach a student? Isn't this your sacred duty? When a teacher teaches a student, the student still has to pay tuition. I'm someone who went to the capital's great academy, you can't fool me. The Dragon Lady pouted at Li Fan. Are you going to give it to me or not? If not, I won't teach you. Half a year. 3 seasons, I can't give any more. I never talk about conditions. Deal. Li Fan used delicacies to bribe the Dragon Lady once again. There weren't many dragon fighting techniques. It was a combat technique used by the dragon race, and there were only 4 moves in total. It could also be said that there were only 4 moves inherited from the Dragon Lady. Li Fan recalled the journey of the past half a month and couldn't help but sigh. Master, what are you thinking about? Lu Xiaohu's words pulled Li Fan back from his memories. Nothing. Li Fan gently patted his cheek to wake himself up a little. Master, do you want to hire a lion dance team? I think those martial arts schools do. Lu Xiaohu asked. Where did you see it? Li Fan was a little surprised. Why didn't he know about this? I saw it on TV. Go to the side. Li Fan laughed angrily. How can modern times be the same as TV dramas? In this era, where can I hire a lion dance team? It's hard to find and very expensive. Master is just worried about money. Lu Xiaohu joked. Beside him, Jiang Yi silently pulled out the sword on his waist. This was the hero's sword that Li Fan had obtained before. Now, it was handed over to Jiang Yi to manage. Hey, what are you doing? Lu Xiaohu was shocked when he saw the sword light. Being disrespectful to master, I want to clean up the sect. Jiang Yi had a serious look. Violent woman. Lu Xiaohu hurriedly hid behind Li Fan. Master, why did you accept such a violent disciple? Impudent. Jiang Yi roared and pulled out his sword. Accept your punishment. All right. Xiaohu is indeed a little unruly. You have to teach him more, but don't be so violent. Li Fan hurriedly stopped Jiang Yi. We are all martial brothers and sisters of the same sect. We must take care of each other. Yes, Master said that we must take care of each other. Master, Jiang Yi was a little unhappy. You want me to take care of this idiot? Hey, who's the idiot? Lu Xiaohu shouted, the one who says others are idiots is the real idiot. Childish. Jiang Yi coldly snorted. Alright, why are you two quarreling again? Both of you are my inner disciples. I still hope that you two can bring the 7 hero fists to greater heights. Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If you two act like this, how can I have high hopes for you two? It's my fault, Master. Jiang Yi immediately lowered his head and apologized to Li Fan. I'm immature and let Master down. It's good that you know you're wrong. Lu Xiaohu was proud of himself when Li Fan glared at him. Alright, I also have my shortcomings. Lu Xiaohu could only touch the back of his head and apologized. I might be too noisy. I will learn to improve in the future. And, the two of you work hard. The 7 hero fist depends on the two of you. I will work hard. I will definitely not let Master down. The 2 disciples respectfully bowed to Li Fan. Alright, that's more like it. Pack up, let's go out and take a look. The dojo is open today, so it should be very busy. Li Fan patted their shoulders, and the 3 of them walked out of the door. Chapter 1140. The opening of Li Fan's martial arts center represented the official establishment of his sect. From then on, there would be a 7 chivalrous sect in the world, and Li Fan would be the founder of this sect. For Li Fan, he was a little excited. However, he had to put on a serious face now. After all, there were 2 little apprentices here. Different from the time when the 7 chivalrous sect martial arts center was opened, many people came to watch the fun. In City G, opening a martial arts center was nothing new. Learning martial arts to strengthen one's body was also a popular trend in modern society. Li Fan was wearing a black and red martial arts suit with the logo of the 7 chivalrous sect printed on the chest and back. It was also designed by Lu Wan herself. It was very fashionable and had a martial arts style. Huaxia had issued a ban on martial arts, but the royal guards could not control Li Fan's martial arts center. Although there was no lion dance team, Li Fan still symbolically set off firecrackers. Now that the new year was coming, the sound of firecrackers added a touch of the festive atmosphere in the city. Brother-in-law, only 1,000 firecrackers. It's not lively enough. Murong was wearing a yellow down jacket, a short skirt, and flesh-colored stockings. She was holding Li Fan's arm and acting coquettishly. Why don't we set some more? It's the new year tomorrow. It's more lively this way. 1,000 firecrackers is not enough. Why don't we add another 1,000? Li Fan dotingly pinched the little girl's nose and left Murong's house. Now he was the one taking care of the little girl. This was the first time that she was going to spend the new year outside, so he could not let her feel lonely. As for Murong Bo, it was said that ever since his youngest daughter left home, the former overlord of the martial arts world was somewhat unable to recover from the setback. Even the matters of the manor were handed over to his eldest daughter, Murong-ing, to manage. Now, Murong's villa was the real #1 villa in the world. Even the royal guards were under the jurisdiction of Murong Villa. It seemed that Murong-ing had the power of life and death in Wulin, but because Murong both seemed to be very decadent, he did not care about Wulin at all. Therefore, Si Mahue restrained Murong-ing and was ready to seize power at any time. Murong-ing must have had a hard time too. How is 1,000 enough? Murong-ai said with a straight face, at least 80,000, right? Are you going to blow this place up? Li Fan smiled bitterly. How big of a commotion did this girl have to make before she was satisfied? As expected, he was still a child. Li Fan stood at the entrance. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he leaped up and took off the red cloth on the signboard, completing the opening ceremony. Although Li Fan's martial arts school taught traditional martial arts, it adopted a modern business model. The martial arts school used a membership card system. Only those who had applied for advanced membership could learn the cultivation method of the 7-gallon force. As for non-members, they could only learn ordinary outer sect combat techniques, which were only used for self-defense. Li Fan originally did not want to do this. He felt that this was tantamount to blocking people with poorer conditions from practicing martial arts. This was not his original intention. But on this point, Lu Wanhe and Lin Yuhsin both insisted. Lin Yuhsin's idea was that people with poor families basically had no money to practice martial arts. It was the same in ancient times. The poor learned martial arts while the rich learned martial arts. But Lu Wanhe believed that letting them learn the 7-gallon force as soon as they entered the school would create a situation where crooks mixed with honest people. The membership system was expensive and could block some people with bad intentions. And for the poor who wanted to learn advanced martial arts, there was naturally a corresponding policy. After 2 years of study in the martial arts school, with good conduct, one could become a member for free. This idea convinced Li Fan. On the first day of the school's opening, there were many people enrolled. The ordinary students were first taught by Jiang Yi, while the members and advanced classes were taught by Li Fan. But for now, there were no advanced classes and no one applying for membership. In a new martial arts school, there were far more people watching than people who wanted to learn something. But Li Fan was not worried. It was good to let some people strengthen their bodies first. Even if it was an ordinary class, Li Fan would also teach some exquisite breathing techniques to slowly improve their physique. When there were more people in the future, he could set up a few more beginner classes and slowly expand. Li Fan and everyone arrived together. Master. Jiang Yi saw Li Fan walk in and immediately got up and bowed to him. Don't be so polite. Li Fan nodded to his little disciple. Today, you are the teacher here. As he said that, he sat to the side, picked up a cup of tea, crossed his legs, and calmly watched Jiang Yi's performance. The reason why he did not ask Lu Xiaohu to be his teacher was because this kid was really unreliable. He was different from Jiang Yi. Lu Xiaohu's mental age was too young, just like a child. If he were to teach students, he would have to hone his skills a little more. Li Fan now wanted to see how Jiang Yi's level was. She was a little ruthless in her bones, and he was afraid that she would be too harsh for these ordinary students. There were a total of 20 ordinary students, old and young. The youngest was 6 years old, and the oldest was more than 60 years old. Some people were a little unconvinced when they found out that the person teaching them was a girl who looked only 13 or 14 years old. A few guys in their 20s were discussing below. The classroom was not big, about 200 square meters. The wooden floor was polished until it was shiny. There were a few cushions on the floor, and all the students sat on the floor. Jiang Yi sat opposite them and taught them face to face. Therefore, when someone spoke, Jiang Yi naturally heard it clearly. Li Fan sat on the armchair next to him and did not say anything to stop her. Dragon Girl sat next to him, eating snacks while watching the fun. This little girl, after parting ways with Li Fan previously, now watched Li Fan even more closely. She even followed him to the toilet. Li Fan understood. After all, for Dragon Girl, being by his side was the safest place. The laughter of those guys in their 20s became louder and louder. Li Fan could see that Jiang Yi was trying her best to control herself. After all, he had previously told her to be patient with the students and not to lose her temper easily. But Jiang Yi's patience was obviously limited. And because of the noise of these guys, the surrounding students also felt a little uneasy. You guys, if you don't want to go to class, you can go out. Jiang Yi raised her head and scolded them sternly. Yo, we paid, why should we go out? A guy with dyed yellow hair picked his nose and said. Looking at him, Li Fan thought of Huang Lei in the past. They were all so frivolous, unafraid of anyone who refused to submit to them. However, Huang Lei was also a talent. The legend of splashing feces on the campus was still circulating in the second high school. He was probably the only one who could do such a ridiculous thing. And the yellow hair in front of him was obviously the leader of the few boys. He directly talked back to Jiang Yi. Little girl, you're young, but your temper isn't small. Chapter 1141. Blondie looked at Jiang Yi and did not take her seriously at all. He had only heard from the people around that this Qixia dojo was very powerful, and it was the spokesperson for the recently popular twins. Blondie was extremely fond of the twins. The name of their debut group was Wulin Sisters. Although their songs did not have much influence at first, one single later became popular all over the country. Recently, they even wrote the latest single for the Qixia dojo, called Fist of the Seven Heroes. Blondie, who had always stayed at home, could not help but want to learn a few moves. But when he came here, he saw that the teacher was actually a young girl. It was too commercialized. Was it enough to trick the customers here? Blondie had also learned karate when he was young. At that time, the instructor was very powerful, and his moves were extraordinary. He directly broke 6 tiles with one palm. This was simply shocking to the Blondie at that time. But later, because he did not like to suffer, he left the karate dojo. It was not easy for a song to awaken his healthy cells to practice martial arts, but he did not expect to be cheated by this dojo. He was really unhappy. You actually judge strength by age. Jiang Yi reminded Blondie, for martial artists in China, it is best to practice martial arts as young as possible. I am not talented, I only started martial arts when I was 5 years old, and after a period of wandering, I am only at the intermediate level of the ascendant. Jiang Yi had already reached a threshold. If she wanted to step into the peak of the ascendant, she still needed some mental training. Being the teacher of these people might be helpful to her. Looking at Lu Xiaohu, he was not as strong as her junior. He stayed too comfortably on the Li family island, and his martial arts did not improve in the later stages. Bringing him back to the mainland was also a kind of training. Moreover, with Jiang Yi who joined later to stimulate him, this kid might even be able to arouse his competitive spirit. As for Li Fan's third disciple, Abe Haruko, the head of the Abe family in Japan, Li Fan basically left her alone. Originally, she was kept to contain the 3 big families in Japan. As long as she was honest and dutiful, then she could do whatever she wanted. Li Fan didn't want to take in any more inner chamber disciples. Abe Haruko could be considered as her last disciple. As for the outer hall disciples, it didn't matter if he took in a few more. In any case, he just had to let his 2 disciples take care of them. The topic was already off topic. Li Fan supported his chin and watched the conflict between Blondie and Jiang Yi. Nonsense. Most of the Chinese kung fu is just for show. What do you mean by reaching the next level? What kind of bullshit is this? The yellow-haired man shouted indignantly, spittle flying everywhere. Since you don't like Chinese kung fu, why did you come to learn it? I'm just here to join in the fun. I didn't expect you to fool me so much. The blonde was very unhappy. When I was learning karate, the instructor was very strong and could break 6 tiles with one palm. Look at how skinny you are. Can you do it? Huaxia martial arts practice Qi. Jiang Yi continued to maintain his patience and explained, although you can't come into contact with it right now, after you train in our dojo for a few more years, you might be able to learn it. Bullshit. Modern combat was all about physical strength. I don't believe that you can defeat a heavyweight like Tyson. The yellow-haired man swore, with his size, a kick from you is like an itch. But a punch from him can kill a bull. You can't even withstand a punch from him. That's right, that's right. This dojo is boring. It's just a trick. Let's go. Alright, let's go. The young lads were clamoring to leave, and the veins on Jiang Yi's face were clearly throbbing. Li Fan remained silent and continued to watch how Jiang Yi would settle this. The group of people were shouting and no one was listening to her. At this moment, Jiang Yi suddenly stretched out her hand and slammed it on the ground. Gotcha! A crack immediately appeared on the floor. Following that, the wooden floor directly shattered, revealing the cement floor below. Jiang Yi withdrew her palm. The ground was still emitting white smoke. The surrounding people were all stunned and did not speak for a long time. Fuck you, this little girl has great strength. Have you calmed down? Jiang Yi stood up and pointed at the yellow-haired man who was shouting the loudest. Didn't you say that Tyson can knock me down with one punch? According to your theory, you're a man and your body is stronger than mine, so your strength must be stronger than mine, right? She stood there with her arms crossed. I'll just stand there and you can attack me at will. As long as you knock me down, I'll double your tuition fee and then hire a private karate coach for you. What do you think? When the yellow-haired man heard this, he forgot about the floor and was a little moved. But if you lose, you have to fix this floor for me and then obediently go to class. Alright, I'm a man. Do you think I can't beat a little girl like you? The yellow-haired man was full of confidence. Maybe the floor earlier was already broken and was just used by this girl to scare people. She wants to use this to scare me. What a joke, what's there to be afraid of? The yellow-haired man was full of courage. He walked forward and considering that the other party was a little girl, he did not use too much strength and directly punched Jiang Yi's thin shoulder. But Jiang Yi stood there motionlessly. The yellow-haired man felt as if he had hit an iron plate. He rubbed his fist in pain and took 2 steps back. Fuck, is there an iron plate inside you? The yellow-haired man rubbed his fist and shouted. Oh. Jiang Yi was expressionless as she pointed to her forehead. Come, hit me like this. Little girl, see if I don't beat you to death. The yellow-haired man was determined to make this girl suffer a little. He jogged a few steps forward and then punched the little girl's forehead. Paw! His fist landed solidly on Jiang Yi's forehead. This thin and weak Jiang Yi still stood there steadily as if her feet were rooted. She did not move a single step and did not even shake her head. But Jiang Yi made her move. She slowly placed her palm on the yellow-haired man's chest. Bam! The yellow-haired man flew out and fell at least 5 meters away before sitting on the ground. Jiang Yi showed mercy. Although he fell far away, he was fine. The yellow-haired man was stunned for a moment, then he covered his hand and cried. My hand. It hurts so much. How can a man be so delicate? Jiang Yi curled her lips. Forget it, it seems you are not suitable to practice martial arts. I'll refund your tuition. Go home. She looked at the other students. If any of you still want to quit school, you can do it now. My 7 Heroes Martial School only accepts people who practice martial arts, not sissies. How could these students be willing to quit school? They were all excited and surrounded Jiang Yi. One by one, they respectfully began to ask for martial arts advice. The yellow-haired man who cried for a long time finally lost interest and obediently crawled back to continue the class. He did not dare to be rash anymore. Chapter 1142. Just like that, the student class was stabilized, and Li Fan could finally put down one of his worries. However, the operation of the martial arts school was not very smooth. Li Fan's martial arts school was jointly boycotted by other martial arts schools in G City. Early in the morning, when Li Fan arrived at the entrance of the martial arts school, he found some students in various Taoist uniforms, sitting quietly around the entrance of his martial arts school. There were 2 or 3 people in each school, a total of 20 to 30 people, blocking the entrance. You guys, if you don't leave, I'll beat you up. Lu Xiaohu was short-tempered. When Li Fan arrived, he was quarreling with these people. Let's fight, I'm not afraid of you. You're just a kid, don't pretend. When I played the Youth Cup, who knows where you were? The surrounding martial artists mocked and ridiculed, not taking Lu Xiaohu's threats seriously. Lu Xiaohu knitted his brows tightly. These guys were really too hateful. He rolled up his sleeves and was about to make a move, when Li Fan came over with Dragoness. Xiaohu, what's wrong? Master, these people came to make trouble. As soon as Lu Xiaohu saw Li Fan, his face immediately showed a wronged expression. They kept scolding me. If it wasn't for Master not allowing me to make a move, I would really beat them up. Gee, who doesn't know how to brag? Beat us up. I don't know who will be beaten up if we really fight. These people began to talk all at once. Master, Lu Xiaohu clenched his fist, can I make a move? They're all outer disciples, don't fight. Li Fan could see that none of these people were masters of internal martial arts, they all learned external martial arts. Fighting with them was really a disgrace to Jianghu. Everyone, we're all friends in the martial arts world, shouldn't we help each other? Li Fan cupped one hand and the other before his chest, coming here to make trouble early in the morning, isn't it a little too unreasonable? Unreasonable? You're talking about unreasonable? A bald man wearing a red martial arts uniform shouted, Brat, do you know that this is our territory? If you want to open a dojo, do you have our permission? Oh. This made Li Fan curious. My business license was obtained through formal procedures at the Bureau of Industry and Commerce. Could it be that this license needs to be stamped with your seals? Business license, we don't care. The bald man in red twitched his mouth. We don't care what kind of shop you want to open. However, in City G, or even the entire G province, if you want to open a martial arts club, you have to get permission from our martial arts association. Without our president's approval, no one is allowed to open a new dojo. Bullshit. Lu Xiaohu scolded, who do you think you are? What does opening a martial arts school do to you? Motherfucker, you little brat, are you asking for a beating? Come on. Both sides were very angry, and they could start fighting at any time. In City G, martial arts clubs were flourishing. From Shadowless Kick to Xingyiquan, many external martial arts were proliferating and developing here. It was lively and prosperous. However, there were too many people opening martial arts clubs in City G. Many martial arts masters dared to open a martial arts club and accept apprentices after learning some martial arts. Later, Wing Chun Kung Fu became popular, and it became the largest martial arts club in the area, which made other martial arts clubs unable to survive. Later, these martial arts clubs united and established the Martial Arts Association, which fought with Wing Chun Kung Fu many times. Both sides were badly battered and finally signed a peace agreement. The market was too saturated, so the presidents of the Martial Arts Association and the Wing Chun Association reached an agreement to prohibit any other martial arts clubs from opening. If someone really wanted to establish a new martial arts club, he had to get the approval of the presidents of the two associations. Li Fan's martial arts club suddenly appeared in violation of the rules of the association. This stimulated the temporarily balanced martial arts world in City G. At first, they thought that no one would go to this inexplicable martial arts club to learn. However, they didn't expect that the martial arts club would become more and more popular, and even stars and idols would advertise it. After a discussion, the presidents of the two associations decided to close Li Fan's martial arts club. That was why such a large group of people came to the entrance of the martial arts club to sit quietly, which affected their normal business. We are operating legally. Since when did you have the right to intervene? Lu Wan-er also arrived. Hearing what happened here, the usually gentle little beauty was a little annoyed. This is an illegal gathering. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. Lu Wan-er took out her mobile phone. Okay, call the police. The bald man in red looked like a rascal. He crossed his arms and said disdainfully, "There are so many of us here. If you call the police to arrest us, we will be locked up for 15 days at most. But tomorrow, a new group of people will come here and continue to sit quietly. After we are released, we will also come here to sit quietly and make it impossible for your martial arts club to operate normally. You're quite cruel, young man." Hearing this, Li Fan couldn't help laughing. What the fuck are you laughing at? Let me tell you, it's impossible to open a martial arts club in City G without the permission of the president. Li Fan didn't say anything. Standing on the side, Jiang Yi, who had been silent, suddenly pulled out the hero's sword in her hand. She would not let go of those who insulted her master. Hey, don't get angry. However, Li Fan pressed down on her hand. Isn't this quite interesting? He looked at the reckless bald man in red in front of him. I want to know, how can I get the permission of your president? Then you can ask the president. The bald man in red rolled his eyes at Li Fan. I don't want to talk to you. This is boring. I see that you are all martial artists. Talking with your mouth is too embarrassing, isn't it? What do you mean? Let's talk with our fists. I have counted, there are a total of 28 of you here. If you can beat my disciple, I will immediately close the martial arts club and go home for the new year. What do you think? You're really crazy. The bald man in red smiled coldly. The 20 of us are all real martial artists. Aren't you afraid that your little disciple will be killed by us? No, his skin is rough and his flesh is thick. You can train him without worry. Li Fan said with a gentle smile, how about it? Do you dare? Afraid of you. The bald man in red was provoked by Li Fan's attitude. He clapped his hands. Don't blame us for being ruthless if you lose an arm or a leg. No, I don't lack money. With his hands behind his back, Li Fan had a big smile on his face, which made Lu Xiaohu's heart beat faster. Master was too black-bellied. Xiaohu, I'll have to trouble you. There were a lot of onlookers around. Li Fan felt that this was a good opportunity for publicity. Leave it to me, master. Lu Xiaohu rubbed his fists, as if he couldn't wait any longer. Qiangzi, go and kill this guy. The bald man in red ordered his companion. Chapter 1143. A burly man walked over and stood in front of Lu Xiaohu. Lu Xiaohu was short because of his late puberty. Currently, he was about 1.6 meters tall. The burly man in front of him was at least 1.8 meters tall, more than a head taller than him. In comparison, Lu Xiaohu was like a dwarf. "Little guy, don't cry later." Li Fan transmitted his voice to Lu Xiaohu. "Don't use internal force." Against ordinary people, internal force was absolutely not allowed. Even these martial artists were only proficient in external martial arts, at most they knew some self-defense hard qigong. It was too unfair to use internal martial arts on them. But even if it was just an extra punch, Li Fan had confidence in his eldest disciple. "Hurry up and start." Lu Xiaohu rubbed his stomach. "I'm still waiting for breakfast." "Too arrogant. I'll teach you a lesson." The burly man, Chang Zi, said as he directly slapped Lu Xiaohu's face. This was called hitting the face before hitting someone. A sudden slap was hard for most people to defend. And with this man's strength, if it was an ordinary person, they would definitely be hit until they were dizzy, maybe even one or two of their teeth would be knocked out. The baldy in red was also complacent, waiting for Lu Xiaohu's ugly crying appearance. But at this time, Lu Xiaohu steadied his stance, then reached out, grabbed Chang Zi's thick arm with both hands, and then pulled his body back. Borrowing Chang Zi's strength, he directly performed a beautiful shoulder throw, lifted Chang Zi's body up, and then slammed him hard on the ground. The ground seemed to tremble slightly. Other than not using qi, Lu Xiaohu did not hold back at all. After the man fell to the ground, Lu Xiaohu did not forget to give him a punch on the head. With a bang, Chang Zi directly fainted. Looking at Chang Zi, who was defeated in seconds, the baldy in red was stunned for a few seconds. What was going on? The tall and strong Chang Zi was actually knocked down by a teenage kid. Next. Hurry up, don't waste young master's time. Lu Xiaohu easily KO'd one. He was in a good mood and waved to the next one. Why don't all 20 of you come at me together? I'll be fast. After Lu Xiaohu finished speaking, he felt that there was some ambiguity in his words. Damn, what I mean is that I fight fast. Hurry up. Lu Xiaohu crooked his finger, and the rest of the people were furious. It's just a fluke that I won once. Stop acting like a dick. The red-shirted baldy's face was contorted. He could no longer control his anger. Today, they had come to humiliate this dojo, but in the end, they were at a disadvantage and were beaten up by the other party. Zhao Ku, you come. Give him a taste of your tiger form fist. All right. A short man jumped out, but the muscles on his body were abnormally strong. Especially his hands, which were full of calluses. One look and you could tell that he was a boxing expert. He stood there and roared, imitating the roar of a tiger. This kid is doomed. Yeah, Xiaoku's tiger form fist has been cultivated to the acme of perfection. Moreover, he's very ferocious. This kid will probably be heavily injured if not dead. The rest of the people sighed, as if Lu Xiaohu was really done for. Kid, consider yourself unlucky today. Die. As Xiaoku spoke, he used a tiger claw to grab Lu Xiaohu. Lu Xiaohu laughed. Wasn't this showing off in front of Guan Yu? How could this person's tiger form fist compare to the tiger strike technique created by his master? But soon, Lu Xiaohu realized that something was wrong. The opponent's tiger form fist was extremely fast, and every move was fatal. Every time, it went straight for his vital parts. This caused Lu Xiaohu to lose his rhythm, and the opponent's claw scratched his chest, leaving a claw mark. Blood splattered, and Lu Xiaohu sobered up a lot. There's always someone better than you out there. If it's just a competition of external martial arts, these people in front of you aren't bad. Li Fan's telepathic message also reached his ears. Lu Xiaohu was a little ashamed. He understood why Li Fan wanted him to compete. It was not only to make a beautiful advertisement, but also to let him understand what kind of mentality a martial artist should have. He was still lacking a lot in martial arts, and he should not be so impetuous at such a young age. Kid, now you know how powerful I am. The baldy in red laughed heartily. That's more like it. Hurry up and cripple this kid, and let the dojo's reputation hit rock bottom, so that they won't get angry whenever they see them. But at this moment, Lu Xiaohu suddenly found an opening. He lowered his body and dodged Zhao Ke's claw. Then, he went into Zhao Ke's arms, and with a tiger claw, he grabbed Zhao Ke's neck and pressed him to the ground. Zhao Ke was pinched hard, and his head suffered a heavy blow. He immediately fainted. Thanks for letting me win. Lu Xiaohu put away his anxious look, cupped his hands at the crowd, and continued to ask for permission to fight. Lu Xiaohu became a lot more humble, which surprised the people around him. What's going on? How did he change? This kid is a little troublesome. The baldy in red could also see that although this kid was young, his martial arts were indeed far beyond ordinary people. No wonder this kid was so confident, it seemed that he had some real skills. Ollie, you go. The baldy in red thought for a while, and decided to let the stronger Ollie go. Ollie practiced spring kick, and his martial arts were also good. With him, it was naturally foolproof. Okay, leave it to me. Ollie walked forward, and made 2 kicks. His kicks were swift and powerful, and even the air crackled with explosive sounds. Kid, you're not bad, but this is the end. Ollie suddenly appeared in front of Lu Xiaohu with a spring of his feet, and then dropped from the sky, aiming straight for Lu Xiaohu's head. Chapter 1144. What do you mean? The red-clothed baldy couldn't react for a moment, and at this time, Zhao Ke had already kicked Lu Xiaohu's chest. However, at the critical moment, Lu Xiaohu showed the strength he should have. He lowered his body and brushed against Zhao Ke's leg, dodging this move. At the same time, his fist hit the opponent's lower abdomen, beating the tiger. The current Lu Xiaohu could actually freely display the unique skill of the 7 Brilliance Fist. This made Li Fan quite gratified. For Li Fan, it was basically impossible for him to use the 7 Brilliance Fist again. However, it could still be passed down through his disciple. Beating the tiger was a success. At the moment when the enemy launched an attack, when the body was at its weakest, it could achieve the most effective effect. What? Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw Zhao Ke being sent flying. Isn't this too incredible? What kind of power is this? He's obviously just a kid. The surrounding onlookers also cried out in surprise. In this martial arts club, how could a 10-year-old kid knock down such a powerful adult opponent? This is already the 3rd person. Li Fan raised 3 fingers. There are still 25 people. Who's next? If you don't mind, you can all come together. After all, my eldest disciple still needs more training. I'll have to trouble you guys. The red-clothed baldy's anger surged again. What does this mean? This is looking down on us too much. This is not going according to the rules. They should be the ones with the advantage. Who's the bully today? He deserves a lesson. The 3 of you go beat him up. The red-clothed baldy turned around and ordered his 3 junior brothers. The few of them learned the iron thread fist. With the strength of their fists, they could definitely beat this kid to a pulp. The 3 iron thread fist disciples immediately came forward and surrounded Lu Xiaohu. Brothers, take this. The red-clothed baldy took out the steel rings from the bag at his feet and distributed them to his 3 junior brothers. The 3 of them put the steel rings on their arms and looked at Lu Xiaohu aggressively. Everyone, please advise me. Lu Xiaohu cupped one hand and the other before his chest. Then, he lowered his body and spread his hands apart. Like a ferocious tiger descending a mountain, he was ready to fight. The three iron wire-fisted martial artists immediately launched an attack. The three of them seemed to have trained together all year round, and they had a tacit understanding of each other. They attacked Lu Xiaohu from three different directions. Lu Xiaohu was not in a hurry to counterattack. He dodged left and right to avoid his opponent's attacks while constantly observing his opponent's attack patterns. With the steel ring, the power of the iron thread fist was unleashed to the fullest. Even if it was just an external martial art, with a bit of body-hardening technique, the movement of his fist was enough to create wind in the air. Even Li Fan couldn't help but nod. These people's fist techniques were indeed well practiced. If he combined it with his inner force, he should be a very strong expert. When it came to martial arts, there was no shortcut. One had to practice hard and improve day by day. As for himself, he could be considered a special case. Triangle attack. After attacking for a long time without success, he seemed to be a little impatient. The bald man in red instructed, and the three people immediately attacked from three different directions, like an iron triangle. They threw punches at Lu Xiaohu, forcing him to have no way out. However, Lu Xiaohu was not in a hurry. He had already seen through the three people's attack patterns. Lu Xiaohu directly rushed towards an iron wire fist martial artist. The moment his fist arrived in front of Lu Xiaohu's body suddenly leaned to the side, avoiding his fist. At the same time, he raised his claw and grabbed his chest. The guy's chest exploded with blood, and Lu Xiaohu's body retreated, as if he had already calculated the trajectory. The other two men's fists just brushed past his ear and flew out. Lu Xiaohu's hands clasped the back of their necks, and then he pressed them to the ground, causing them to fall flat on their faces. Lu Xiaohu's attack was like thunder, with the momentum of a tiger. Once he launched an attack, it was like crushing dry weeds and rotten wood, knocking down three people in a row. The bald man in red broke out in cold sweat. Although he was irritable, he was not a fool. After knocking down so many of his companions in a row, and all with one move, even a retard should be able to see the difference in their combat power. Thank you for letting me win. Lu Xiaohu once again cupped his hands and stood in the middle of the field. The surrounding audience could not help but applaud, admiring that a child could defeat so many experts. Lu Xiaohu continuously cupped his hands to the surrounding people, that proud look seemed to be a little smug. After all, he was still young and had the temperament of a teenager. It was not until Li Fan glared at him that he stuck out his tongue in embarrassment, and then obediently returned to Li Fan's side. Childish. Jiang Yi stood at the side with his arms crossed, and could not help but mock. Humph, you're just jealous of me. If Lu Xiaohu had a small tail, it would be raised high at this time. I am your senior brother, you should maintain a heart of reverence for me. Senior brother weak chicken. Jiang Yi curled his lips. With such mockery from Jiang Yi, Lu Xiaohu could not sit still under the watchful eyes of the crowd. Jiang Yi, if I don't let you see the strength of a senior brother today, you won't know the rules. As he said that, Lu Xiaohu's expression suddenly turned cold, and a strong aura suddenly appeared from his body, causing the baldy in red, who was originally ready to attack, to shudder. Come on. Jiang Yi yawned, as if he did not care. If you want to compete, then go back and compete. Li Fan did not want to be too ostentatious outside. Now that the martial arts world was enforcing a ban on martial arts, Li Fan did not want to give the Imperial Guards a chance to attack him. Once there was a competition between internal martial arts experts, the Imperial Guards would definitely be alarmed. After being reminded by Li Fan, Lu Xiaohu also came to his senses. He snorted at Jiang Yi, "I'll settle the score with you later." "Anytime." Jiang Yi hugged the hero's sword and replied without lifting his eyelids. "Okay, everyone, let's continue." Li Fan said to the baldy in red, "It seems that my eldest disciple still has a lot of energy, you guys give him some pointers." The red-clothed baldy stood there somewhat resentfully, feeling slightly uncomfortable. The surrounding people also started to jeer at them, which made the people from the Martial Arts Association very embarrassed. Damn it, the baldy in red felt like he had unknowingly fallen into the opponent's trap. That Li Fan, the owner of the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School, looked young, but seemed to be very scheming. "That's it for today." The baldy in red shouted, "But it won't end like this. The Martial Arts Association has their eyes on you. If you don't close within 3 days, don't blame us for being rude." "Oh. What do you mean by that?" Li Fan asked with a smile. "Brothers, let him know." Chapter 1145. More than 20 martial artists surrounded Li Fan. Jiang Yi and Lu Xiaohu were ready to make a move, but they were stopped by Li Fan. "You bunch of hooligans, you want to make trouble because you can't win." Lu Wan'er also took out her phone, ready to call the police. "This is the Martial Arts Association's matter, put down the phone." A martial artist next to her wanted to snatch Lu Wan'er's phone, but Lu Wan'er grabbed his wrist and kicked him to the ground. Lu Wan'er had also learned martial arts from Li Fan for a while, so it was not a problem for her to deal with a martial artist. Li Fan held down his 2 disciples, not letting them make a move, but he himself made a move. He avoided a martial artist, and with a knife hand strike on the back of his neck, directly knocking him out. Although he did not use internal force, Li Fan's strength was not weak after training. Especially the way he attacked, it was the most powerful 1-inch punch in martial arts. The reason why he did not let his 2 disciples make a move was because he was worried that they did not have a sense of propriety. Li Fan's footwork was agile, and he dodged a martial artist's kick, while at the same time, his knife hand struck the martial artist's throat. The martial artist clutched his throat, knelt on the ground, and could not breathe for a long time. Although Li Fan's every move was aimed at vital points, he was merciful, and maintained his propriety. Every move made a martial artist lose the ability to fight. In the blink of an eye, Li Fan took down 7 or 8 martial artists, and his clothes were not even touched by his opponents. The baldy in red was furious, and he rushed forward with a steel ring on his arm. He directly used the 2 tigers stealth technique towards Li Fan, punching out with both fists. However, Li Fan lowered his body, dodged his fists, and at the same time, punched his lower abdomen with 1-inch punch. The baldy in red felt his stomach twist, and his vision turned black. His legs went weak, and he knelt on the ground, gasping for breath. And around Li Fan, there was no one left standing. "Everyone, for your sake, it's better to stop." As Li Fan said this, he kneed a martial artist's lung, almost making him faint. His attacks were ruthless, but they were also filled with fatality. The red-clothed baldy's consciousness was still there. He had witnessed Li Fan's power with his own eyes, and fear finally began to creep into his heart. This dojo master was simply too powerful. Perhaps only the other dojo masters would be able to deal with him, damn it. You wait. This isn't over yet. With the help of his companions, the red-clothed baldy slowly stood up. He looked at Li Fan with resentment in his eyes. "We can't deal with you, but someone else will." "Really?" Li Fan smiled. He stood there with a gentle expression. "Since I, Li Fan, have opened a dojo, I'm not afraid of people coming to make trouble. No matter who it is, I'll take it. You'll regret this. Let's go." The red-clothed Baldy and his companions retreated in a sorry state, while the surrounding people applauded. These people were just here to watch a good show. However, Li Fan's publicity was indeed on point. A lot of people immediately became interested and came to register their children. There was also an 80-year-old grandpa who also wanted to register and join the advanced class. After asking for the reason, he said that practicing inner force could prolong one's life. However, he was still rejected by Li Fan. He was too old and could no longer practice martial arts. He couldn't even practice the most basic ones. If something bad happened after learning it, no one would be able to bear the responsibility. "Master, how about I help you clean up?" After returning to the dojo and entering the room, Jiang Yi took the initiative to ask Li Fan for help. "Clean up what?" Li Fan was looking at his phone. Hearing her words, he immediately raised his head and looked at his little disciple. "Get rid of all the people from the dojo," Jiang Yi said with a straight face. "They're too much of an eyesore. They should all be eliminated." Li Fan didn't know what to say. After following him for so long, Jiang Yi's ruthless aura still hasn't diminished. They're just some martial masters. Why bother with them? Li Fan reminded Jiang Yi, "They didn't threaten our lives. Moreover, it's very beneficial for us to open a dojo." "Master, don't you think these people are troublesome?" Jiang Yi half knelt in front of Li Fan and asked, "I'm willing to help Master get rid of these dregs and share Master's burden. I'm very happy that you have this kind of intention." Li Fan touched her head, "But Master has countless troubles. Can you help Master kill them all? If Master needs me, I'll do my best." "Good girl." Li Fan was very touched, but he still wanted to enlighten Jiang Yi, but some people must be killed, and some people can be ignored. Practicing martial arts is a matter of climbing higher and higher. But if your vision stops at these people, you can't break through yourself. Is that so? Yes, and this incident is also a publicity stunt for us. You can be at ease as your teacher. As for the other matters, leave it to me to arrange. Okay, I'll listen to Master. Jiang Yi nodded, and Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief. This girl, it would be great if her personality combined with Little Tiger's. The two of them happened to be two extremes. This was also his fate. There are a lot of new students. How do you feel? Is it hard? Li Fan asked about Jiang Yi's work. No problem, Master. Leave it to me. Jiang Yi hurriedly said, "These are all disciples' things. But there is one thing that I hope Master can approve." "What is it?" "Disciple wants to fight with senior brother." Jiang Yi rolled her eyes. Disciple knows. Master wants to let senior brother lead the advanced class, right? You're so smart. How can you even guess this? Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. That's right. Your senior brother has been practicing martial arts for a long time. Let him lead a group of core advanced class. These people, in addition to practicing martial arts, also need to be of use to me. Although your martial arts are not bad and you're steady, in terms of interpersonal skills, you're not as good as your senior brother. Disciple will correct my shortcomings, but senior brother is frivolous and can't be put in an important position. Please let disciple fight with senior brother to choose the person in charge of the advanced class. I knew it. If you meet Master alone, you definitely won't say anything good. Just when Li Fan was in a dilemma, the office door was suddenly pushed open. Lu Xiaohu angrily walked in and glared at Jiang Yi. Don't you just want to fight? Fine, young master will play with you. Xiaohu, how can you speak to junior sister like that? Li Fan reprimanded. But master, she doesn't respect me. Lu Xiaohu pointed at Jiang Yi and said with dissatisfaction, no matter what, I'm still a senior brother. How about this, I agree to the fight between the two of you. Li Fan thought for a moment, then said, "But in this competition, only the three of us can be present." "Master, I think we should add one more person." Jiang Yi hesitated for a moment and suddenly said. Chapter 1146. What? Li Fan looked at his little apprentice. Master, being the referee, is inevitably biased. Disciple is guilty, but I still hope Master can hire another notary. You little girl. Li Fan was helpless. Jiang Yi was afraid that he would be biased towards Lu Xiaohu. At that time, the dragoness will also be there, but you probably won't trust her. How about I let Imperial Concubine Zhou be the referee? Anyway, Imperial Concubine Zhou had nothing else to do besides cultivating. It would be good to let her come out and join in the fun. That's good, thank you, Master. Jiang Yi knelt down and respectfully kowtowed to Li Fan. Master, I will definitely keep my position. Lu Xiaohu patted his chest. I want to show the demeanor and dignity of a senior. It's good to have ambition, but Jiang Yi is right, you are a bit frivolous. Li Fan patted Lu Xiaohu's shoulder. Don't forget, you almost lost today. Lu Xiaohu's face suddenly turned red. Becoming strong too early has made your mentality a bit inflated. Li Fan warned him, and your current strength is only at the early stage of ascension. Compared with your junior sister, you are still a bit weaker. But with your environment, after practicing for so long, you should be stronger than Jiang Yi. Do you know why? Disciple is not talented. Master, please reprimand, because you are too comfortable. Li Fan's eyes flashed. Worry and work can make a country prosper, and idleness can lead to death. Disciple knows his mistake, I won't say too much. You two are not children anymore, the rest is up to you. Li Fan stood there with his hands behind his back, looking at the two of them. You both go do your own things, I will go find Imperial Concubine Zhou. Arrange the competition tonight, and don't tell outsiders. After all, there is a ban on martial arts, I don't want to cause trouble. Yes. The two apprentices nodded and retreated. Li Fan originally wanted to rest in the office for a while, but now he was afraid he couldn't. He had to go to Imperial Concubine Zhou's apartment. After the battle with Murong's family last time, although this woman also came to City G, she didn't stay with Li Fan. Instead, she went out to have fun. Imperial Concubine Zhou had money and martial arts skills. In this colorful world outside, no one knew what she would do. As long as he didn't go overboard and absorb other people's life force every day, it would be fine. According to the address left by Imperial Concubine Zhou, Li Fan walked directly to the Pearl Tower in City G. It should be a luxurious apartment building, right? How did it become a nightclub? Li Fan looked at the building in front of him. The building had a total of 30 stories, and it towered into the clouds. On the top of the building, there was a large font, Dream of the Ming Dynasty. Dream of the Ming Dynasty. Li Fan muttered. Could it be Imperial Concubine Zhou's doing? Li Fan walked in and was greeted by the deafening music, which almost threw Li Fan out. Good heavens! Why is it so noisy in the daytime? Li Fan rubbed his ears, took 2 steps back, and gently wrapped his ears with his true qi. Sure enough, it was much better. The noise around him seemed to recede like the tide, getting farther and farther away from him. However, after entering, there was a large inspection passage inside. 2 strong men in black security uniforms stood there with their arms crossed, with no expression on their faces. After seeing Li Fan, they stopped him and motioned him to take the safety passage. Li Fan thought, is Imperial Concubine Zhou so sophisticated now? She even has a safety passage. Fortunately, he didn't bring any weapons when he came out. Even the extraordinary sword was left in the martial arts club. He walked directly through the safety door, and the alarm above did not ring. When Li Fan came out, he only wore a loose Taoist suit, without any metal on his body. After the safety passage, there was a ballroom in front of him. The music inside was a little stronger, and men and women were dancing inside. A male waiter walked forward and asked Li Fan directly. "Sir, do you want a booth or a private room?" "I'm looking for someone." "Who are you looking for?" "Imperial concubine Zhou." Imperial concubine Zhou didn't use her name in modern times. She always used her code name. So much so that Li Fan forgot what her name was. The waiter suddenly became speechless and looked at Li Fan. "Who are you?" "Tell Imperial concubine Zhou that Li Fan is looking for her." Li Fan said that it didn't seem that easy to see Imperial concubine Zhou. "Mr. Li, right?" The waiter was instantly relieved. He seemed to have heard of Li Fan's name somewhere. "The Queen ordered that if it's you, we should immediately treat you like a distinguished guest." "Dear Mr. Li, this way please." The waiter became respectful and led Li Fan to the side with a smile on his face. "Queen." Li Fan couldn't help but want to laugh. This imperial concubine Zhou actually called herself a queen. It didn't matter. In this materialistic society, those who had money would naturally be the king. The waiter led Li Fan into an elevator and personally opened the elevator for him. "You guys did a good job." Li Fan politely praised, "It's just a little noisy. This floor is a dance floor, so it will naturally be a little noisy." The waiter said with a smile, "There are more facilities on other floors. We have a quiet room here. Mr. Li can go there and sit down. There is also a resident band inside to play for you. I can go back and see." Li Fan said that Imperial concubine Zhou really knew how to do things. She did it quite well. He suddenly had an idea and asked another question. "Then, do you have that kind of place here?" "What kind?" "A place that makes men happy." Li Fan squinted his eyes. Mr. Li is really humorous. "Naturally, there is." The waiter seemed to be a little proud. Not only is there a place that makes men happy, but there is also a place that makes women happy. Her Majesty the Queen said that she wanted to build this place into an independent small kingdom, full of happiness. Imperial concubine Zhou was really good. Li Fan was convinced. "Does Mr. Li want to go and see?" "Forget it. Let's go to Imperial concubine Zhou first." Now was not the time to relax. Moreover, Lu Wan-er often came to collect his homework at night. Li Fan was not hungry. "Okay, Her Majesty the Queen is on the top floor." The elevator slowly went up. The waiter opened a secret door on the elevator panel and then entered the new floor. It was so hidden. Was Imperial concubine Zhou afraid that someone would plot against her? A minute later, the elevator finally climbed to the top floor. The elevator door slowly opened. When it opened, it was the room where Imperial concubine Zhou lived. The decoration inside was very simple, full of the feeling of the Ming dynasty. In front of them, there was a red pillar. Two strong and handsome young men were tied to it. A sexy beauty was holding a whip and lashing them. Li Fan was dumbfounded. "Damn, what's going on?" Chapter 1147. Li Fan went in to take a look. Imperial concubine Zhou was wearing a sexy leather dress. She was holding a small whip in her hand and a candle in her other hand. She was currently whipping two strong young men. Li Fan was dumbfounded. This is a bit unexpected. "Li Fan, why are you here?" Imperial concubine Zhou turned her head and saw Li Fan. She was somewhat happy. "Come, take off your clothes." Let this imperial consort serve you well. Li Fan was a bit scared. Forget it, forget it. Ah, you misunderstood. Imperial concubine Zhou saw the whip and candle in her hand. She put the candle to the side and then used the whip to break the handcuffs on the two men's hands and put them down. Two stupid pigs, get lost. Yes, yes, the queen. The two men left in high spirits, seeming as if they had not had enough yet. Is this your boy toy? After they left, Li Fan asked. It's a guest. Imperial concubine Zhou picked up a bottle of red wine from the bar next to her, poured it into 2 glasses, and handed one to Li Fan. Guest. Li Fan took the red wine and smelled it. It seemed to be a good wine. Yes, they came to this imperial consort to enjoy the feeling of being abused by this imperial consort. Imperial concubine Zhou put a robe on her body and smiled at Li Fan. Her beauty was enough to cause the downfall of a country. Do you want to try it? This imperial consort seems to be very happy. Forget it. I don't have this hobby. Li Fan was also depressed in his heart. Wasn't this spending money to find suffering? Yes, a domineering man like you will not accept such pleasure. Imperial concubine Zhou looked at Li Fan and licked her lips. What you like should be another kind of service. What do you want to do? You guess. Damn, you guess whether I guess or not. Li Fan felt that imperial concubine Zhou was getting more and more dangerous. You mingled quite well in modern society. Not bad. I sold some jewelry and got some money. Imperial concubine Zhou gently stretched her waist, looking extremely charming. As long as you have money, people will treat you like a queen. I have to say, I really enjoy this feeling. To those people, they don't care about your bloodline. As long as you have money, that's enough. You're right, Yi Zichen said. Li Fan didn't refute, but your interests are too unique. What's so special about it? Since ancient times, after humans ate and drank their fill, they liked to have fun. This is an unchanging tradition. I gave them a good place to go and they are all very grateful to me. All right. If it weren't for the fact that I've been busy lately, I would really like to visit your place more often. I heard that there's something going on here, right? There's even a live band. Li Fan did not mean what he said. Yeah, but it's not just quiet here. This place has a total of 30 floors. The middle 20 floors are apartments for members and guests. As for the remaining 10 floors, except for my floor, the remaining 9 floors are all kinds of entertainment clubs. Baths, gyms, brothels, bars, there's even a men's place for female guests. If you're interested, you can go and take a look. My sexual orientation is very normal. Only women are suitable for me. I'm just saying. Why are you so excited? Imperial concubine Zhou smiled happily. Li Fan was speechless. This woman was obviously an imperial concubine, how could she be so naughty sometimes? Women, are really some incomprehensible animals. Oh right, you don't visit me without a reason. What business do you have here, Li Fan? Imperial concubine Zhou drank a mouthful of red wine and asked Li Fan with an elegant expression. I missed you, so I came to see you. Li Fan casually said. Really? Then I'm really honored. Imperial concubine Zhou's eyes narrowed into a crescent moon. Little tyrant has so many harems. It's really not easy for you to remember me. You're exaggerating, Li Fan was a bit embarrassed. Come on, don't give me that. Say, why are you looking for me? Do you want me to help you fight? Imperial concubine Zhou guessed half of Li Fan's thoughts. I'm looking for you. There's indeed something. Li Fan took a sip of the wine in his hand. The taste was not bad, but it was a bit astringent. But, it's not a fight. I want you to watch others fight. Li Fan's answer made Imperial Concubine Zhou puzzled. What do you mean? My 2 apprentices want to compete. I hope you can be the notary. Li Fan explained, you know, in terms of martial arts, you're an immortal evil Buddha. You can be called a master. You flatter me so much, this consort is really not used to it. Imperial Concubine Zhou was not a fool. She didn't immediately fall for Li Fan's trick. If you want me to fight, you have to pay a little fee, right? Li Fan was surprised. What do you mean? Do I need money? Do you think I'm short of money? Imperial Concubine Zhou said, walked to a chair, and sat down. This chair was also specially made. It was completely carved from jade, and there were 2 golden phoenixes carved on both sides. From the side door, a black leopard came out. It yawned and lazily lay in front of Imperial Concubine Zhou. Imperial Concubine Zhou put her hand on its head, looked at Li Fan, and then pressed one of the phoenix's ruby eyes. The secret door of a wardrobe next to her slowly opened, revealing the contents behind. Inside were all antiques from the Ming dynasty. They were the ones that Li Fan saw at the bottom of the sea that day. Why are they still here? Nonsense, these are China's treasures. Don't tell me you're selling them to the black market? Imperial Concubine Zhou rolled her eyes at Li Fan. Only some gold and gems were sold. You're sitting on the world's wealth. Li Fan was deeply envious. In fact, I've spent almost all of my money for this amusement park. Imperial Concubine Zhou's hand gently rubbed the black leopard's head. The black leopard seemed to enjoy it very much. It lazily lay there, accepting its master's touch. Fortunately, this place has begun to make a profit. Every day, there are hundreds of thousands of yuan coming in. How about it, do you want to invest? Li Fan thought for a moment, okay, I'll invest 1 share. How much is 1 share? I've invested 2 billion here. You can invest in 1 share. Just 20 million will do. Can I invest 1/10,000? Can I invest 200,000? I think you don't need to pay 200,000. Imperial Concubine Zhou was not angry. Instead, she smiled, as long as you take out one thing, I will give you half of the shares. What thing? Little Overlord. Fuck, I'm not a thing, pay, that's not what I meant. Li Fan was somewhat annoyed. What do you want me to do? Suck me dry. Yes, suck you dry. When Imperial Concubine Zhou said this, she stretched out her hand toward Li Fan. A huge force directly sucked Li Fan in front of her. Chapter 1148. Li Fan was somewhat surprised. When Imperial Concubine Zhou stretched out her hand, he actually lost control of his body and was directly sucked in. This Imperial Concubine Zhou's strength actually recovered so much. Looking at Imperial Concubine Zhou, who was so close to him, her beautiful face was so clear. The Black Panther below her roared at Li Fan, seemingly very dissatisfied. Imperial Concubine Zhou gently kicked it with her foot, and it immediately became obedient. How many people's vitality have you sucked? Li Fan's complexion was somewhat heavy as he directly asked. Are you worried about others? Imperial Concubine Zhou smiled. She pulled Li Fan, her fingers gently sliding on his cheek. You should worry about yourself first. Do you want to suck me dry? That's right, I want to suck you dry. Imperial Concubine Zhou licked her lips. Demonis, it seems that I really shouldn't have kept you alive. Li Fan's vitality surged, and his anger overflowed. Why are you so excited? Imperial Concubine Zhou smiled. This concubine has never sucked a person to death. In this befuddled place, this concubine only sucked a little bit of everyone's vitality, which has almost no effect on them. However, this place has a lot of people, so this concubine naturally became stronger. Is what you said true? Of course, this concubine also doesn't want to kill people. In modern society, killing people is a very troublesome thing. Isn't it good to become stronger this way? But didn't you say that you want to suck me dry? That's right, this concubine wants to suck you dry. As Imperial Concubine Zhou said this, she reached her hand into Li Fan's pants and pulled. Li Fan was speechless. When she said to suck, this was what she meant. Can't we have something to talk about? I can't. Imperial Concubine Zhou smiled. Didn't you want to find this concubine for help? Then you have to pay the price. What this? A grown man dilly-dallying. Today, you will follow this concubine. Imperial Concubine Zhou pushed Li Fan, and the two of them rolled on the ground. Last time, Li Fan and Imperial Concubine Zhou also did something similar. However, at that time, Li Fan was possessed by a demon, so he didn't know what it felt like. After trying it out, Li Fan finally understood what was so good about Imperial Consort Zhou. This Imperial Concubine Zhou was one of the top 10 treasures, the 3 rivers of spring water. It was said that there were 3 pearls hidden in the heart of the flower, which stimulated men. Usually, when Li Fan was with Lu Wanner, it was not a problem for him to last 2 hours. However, in Imperial Concubine Zhou's place, he couldn't hold on for more than half an hour. Don't waste your primordial yang. Imperial Concubine Zhou whispered in Li Fan's ear, otherwise, I will absorb all of your power. Imperial Concubine Zhou's voice provoked Li Fan. Ma Dan, how could he admit defeat? Li Fan immediately gathered his essence at one point, maintaining his state. Imperial Concubine Zhou's body also emitted a suction force, as if it wanted to suck away Li Fan's soul. This woman is beautiful and has a hidden killing intent. Li Fan condensed his essence even more, resisting Imperial Concubine Zhou's suction force. Different from Murong's, Imperial Concubine Zhou's divine technique sucked away vitality, not just true qi. The two people fought to their heart's content. Li Fan persisted for another half an hour, but he couldn't hold on any longer. But Imperial Concubine Zhou pushed him away, put on her robe, and sat back on the jade chair. She put her feet on the Black Panther and looked at Li Fan. It's over. Imperial Concubine Zhou's face was still somewhat flushed. She was slightly panting, which made her look extremely tempting. Li Fan was a little unconvinced. Today, he was actually defeated. Last time. Did I also lose? How is that possible? Imperial Concubine Zhou smiled. Last time, you completely conquered this concubine. Damn. Li Fan was unhappy. Am I not as good as my other self? This feeling of being inferior to myself is really strange. However, after having sex with this concubine, your skill should have increased a little. Imperial Concubine Zhou asked. Li Fan felt it for a moment, and it was indeed so. After having sex with Imperial Concubine Zhou for 300 rounds, his essence qi actually increased a lot. It seems like this is also a strange training method. This Imperial Concubine Zhou is really powerful. Li Fan coughed twice to cover up his embarrassment. Although the current you is quite cute, you lack that kind of domineering attitude that despises everything. Imperial Concubine Zhou pressed her left leg against her right leg. She looked at Li Fan and slowly said, you can stay with this concubine for a while, this concubine will make you stronger. Then forget it. Li Fan admitted it. Could it be that Imperial Concubine Zhou wants to train him? In fact, why do you insist on being with this concubine? Imperial Concubine Zhou frankly persuaded, after this concubine woke up, the first person I met was you. You and this concubine seem to have some fate. If you stay here with this concubine and dual cultivate with this concubine day and night, presumably in a few years, you can become a saint-level expert. Moreover, you can also absorb the vitality of those people here. You only need to absorb a little bit from each person. One day is enough for you. No need. Such a big temptation made Li Fan hesitate for a while. But after a while, Li Fan immediately refused Imperial Concubine Zhou. I prefer to cultivate by myself. This way, I feel more accomplished. You're still that arrogant, AI. Imperial Concubine Zhou sighed. Her expression seemed to be somewhat disappointed. Since it's like this, it's useless for this concubine to say anything. This concubine will naturally do what I promised you. Say, when? Tonight. Li Fan thought for a moment, let's have dinner together. Sure. Imperial Concubine Zhou seemed happy again. This concubine's taste is very picky. It's different from that gluttonous little guy beside you. Rest assured, this concubine will treat you to a feast, my imperial concubine. Then this concubine will dress up. You go outside and wait for this concubine. Why do you want to go outside? If I tell you to go, then go. After this concubine dresses up, I will come out to see you. With that, Imperial Concubine Zhou didn't allow Li Fan to say anything and drove him out. Li Fan stood outside, scratching his head. This Imperial Concubine Zhou was really unpredictable. Just a moment ago, she was doing it naked, but now she was driving him out. Li Fan stood outside for a long time. After more than half an hour, Imperial Concubine Zhou came out. She changed into a beautiful Han dress and stood in front of Li Fan. She looked like a fairy that came out of a painting. It was rare to see such a beautiful woman. Li Fan sighed with emotion in his heart. In this world, perhaps she was the only one. Let's go. Imperial Concubine Zhou winked her eyes at Li Fan. Her mischievous spirit secretly came out again. Yes, accompany the Imperial Concubine out of the palace. Li Fan loudly shouted, causing Imperial Concubine Zhou to laugh. We didn't shout these words at that time. You can go to the Qing dynasty and become a eunuch. Pfft, if you don't want to, then forget it. No, this concubine likes you very much. Let's go. Chapter 1149. This woman, Imperial Concubine Zhou, no matter where she goes, will always be the focus of men. As Li Fan walked on the road, all kinds of envious, jealous, and hateful gazes fell on him. Even when he was eating, the waiter looked at him with strange eyes. Eating this Western food, Li Fan felt that he had gone to hell. All men were his enemies. A supreme beauty, bringing trouble to himself. But Imperial Concubine Zhou seemed to enjoy the gazes of those men around her. She sat there and ate her steak with a clear conscience. Li Fan felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. Do you want to eat in another restaurant? You are a strong martial artist. Are you afraid of being stared at by them? Imperial Concubine Zhou elegantly cut her steak and said, in our eyes, they are like ants. Moreover, this kind of gaze is the evaluation of this concubine's charm. Why should I feel uneasy? If they love you, they will be hostile to me. Li Fan curled his lips. Is it easy to have a meal? As this concubine's man, this is your honor. Imperial Concubine Zhou's elegant appearance was not like an imperial concubine of the Ming dynasty, but a European noble. With a woman like this concubine following you, shouldn't you be proud of it? Their jealousy is your medal of honor. What she said seemed to be quite right. It was indeed an honor for him to be able to sleep with such a woman. However, although Li Fan's mentality was a lot better, he still couldn't achieve the aloof feeling that Imperial Concubine Zhou had. This Imperial Concubine Zhou was like a fairy floating above the ninth heaven, overlooking all living beings. But Li Fan slept with this goddess. This was not something that ordinary people could do. Moreover, this goddess had a famous weapon. After eating Western food, Li Fan and Imperial Concubine Zhou walked out of the restaurant and directly went to the parking lot. Imperial Concubine Zhou really knew how to enjoy herself. She bought a limousine and parked it there. The driver was an old man, who was waiting for them. The parking lot was very quiet. The night had quietly fallen, covering this sleepless city with a layer of mysterious veil. Li Fan, how about this concubine teach you the real 9 Buddha Sutra? In the parking lot, Imperial Concubine Zhou suddenly asked. Li Fan was a little surprised. You want me to learn the 9 Buddha Sutra? That's a treasure book for swindling people. How is it a scam? How many people in the world of martial artists have stirred up a storm of blood because of this book? Imperial Concubine Zhou angrily glared at Li Fan. After cultivating it, you can become immortal like me. Isn't that good? How is it good? Li Fan laughed. If you haven't, what's the point of living until now? Imperial Concubine Zhou lightly snorted. You're such a killjoy. Since you don't even want me, you can go and do odd jobs for me. Imperial Concubine Zhou pointed to the back of the truck next to her. There are some broken things there. You go and take care of them. Scum. Your Highness. Li Fan pretended to bow to Imperial Concubine Zhou and then walked towards the truck. Friends, come out and have a chat. Li Fan shouted at the top of his lungs, it's such a cold day. If you hide behind the truck, you'll catch a cold. What the fuck? How did you find me? A fat man came out from the back of the truck. This fat man weighed more than 200 pounds. He was wearing a heavy down jacket and holding an axe in his hand. You idiot. I told you to lose weight, but you didn't listen. A thin man came out from the side. He was wearing less clothes and was shivering in the cold. He shouted at the fat man, it must be because you're too fat that someone saw you. You too. Finish talking. Li Fan was a bit speechless. What are these two clowns doing here? Let me tell you, we are famous killers in the north. These two people spoke in the northeast dialect that Li Fan was familiar with. The thin man's voice was still trembling. He looked at Li Fan and proudly said, we brothers have killed our way through the north and south of the Yangtze River. There is no mission that we can't complete. Now, a rich man said that he wants to buy your life. Be obedient and let us kill you. Be obedient. As he spoke, the thin man checked the single-shot pistol in his hand. See this? This thing is called Huolong made. It can only fire one shot. But one bullet is enough to take your life. Big brother, can you let me fire one shot? The fat man rubbed his hands and said excitedly, I have never fired a gun before. Let me try. Idiot, this is different from shooting birds, you know. That's why I want to try. Let me fire one shot. Fuck, fine. Anyway, this kid can't run away. You just shoot his stomach. One shot and he's dead. Don't we have to shoot his head to kill him? Fuck your father. You big idiot. Do you think your marksmanship is very accurate? Hurry up, don't waste time. The two clowns muttered for a long time. Li Fan was very helpless. He stuck his hands in his pocket and watched the show. Which idiot found these two crosstalk comedians? Come. Let's have some fun. The fat man was very excited. He raised his pistol and aimed at Li Fan. But Li Fan was indifferent. He still stood there as if nothing happened. "Brother, look. He's not afraid." The fat man was puzzled. Before he fired, he turned his head and asked his thin companion, "Does he think that our gun is fake? Why do you care so much?" The thin man was a bit annoyed. "Quickly kill him and take the money for the new year." "Damn, we must let him know our power." The fat man seemed to be a bit angry. "Let me tell you, this is a real gun." With that, the fat man aimed the pistol at the sky and fired a shot. The sound of the gunshot was deafening. Those who didn't know would think that it was a firecracker. "Did you hear that, big idiot?" The fat man proudly shouted at Li Fan. "Fuck." The thin man gave the fat man a slap. "You're the idiot. Didn't I tell you that you can only fire one shot?" Looking at the gun made by Hualong, the muzzle was broken. One look and he knew it was an inferior product from a private workshop. "I'm also drunk. How did I know such a big idiot like you?" The thin man had no other choice. He pulled out his military knife and aimed at Li Fan. "Kid, you can die a quick death. Blame this idiot for not giving you a quick death." With that, the thin man took a step forward. The military knife was aimed at Li Fan's lower abdomen. Li Fan stretched out his hand and grabbed the thin man's wrist. He pulled him forward and at the same time, his right hand slashed out and hit the thin man's throat. The thin man directly covered his neck, kneeled on the ground, gasping for breath. The fat man was shocked. "Fuck, this brother is trained." He began to rummage through his bag, looking for something to deal with Li Fan. Don't, the thin man was panting and wanted to say something. "Yes, you kid, don't run. This father is looking for something to kill you." The fat man shouted. "Don't fucking flip over. Run, the thin man rolled his eyes. The fat man turned around and ran. "Fuck, bring me along." Chapter 1150. Li Fan didn't know where these two weirdos came from, but he didn't kill them and just watched them run away. "Why didn't you kill them?" Imperial concubine Zhou walked in front of Li Fan and asked. With a wave of my hand, "Aren't they dead?" "That's fun, why kill them?" Li Fan grinned. "Besides, I really want to know which idiot hired these two to kill me." This kind of joker, Li Fan was convinced. "It's probably someone who doesn't know you." Imperial concubine Zhou said from the side. "In short, next time you meet this kind of person, just kill them first to avoid future troubles." Yes. Your Highness is wise. The two of them have different worldviews. Li Fan can't use his worldview to force Imperial concubine Zhou. Therefore, he quickly said a few words to make this Imperial concubine happy first. If she was unhappy, she would definitely make him unhappy. Knowing modesty was the traditional virtue of the Chinese nation. Li Fan nodded and once again confirmed his magnanimity. He and Imperial concubine Zhou went all the way back to the martial arts school. In the limousine, Imperial concubine Zhou didn't forget to add another round of after-meal exercise. At this time, the two assassin brothers were squatting on the side of the road. The thin man was holding a phone and calling someone. "Boss Wang. This matter didn't work. But don't worry, we two brothers are the assassins in the 3 provinces of the Northeast. Don't worry, I will definitely do it for you. Today." "Why didn't you do it today?" Hearing this, the fat man interrupted. "Tell him that the gun is not good." "Not good. Fuck you. The thin man held the phone with one hand and used the other to slap the fat man's head. After slapping a few times, he finally vented his anger. Then, he picked up the phone again and said in a pleasant tone. Today's opportunity is not good. There are a lot of people accompanying Li Fan. Now, the business of killing people is not good. In a society ruled by law, I can't get a sniper. Otherwise, with my marksmanship, I can guarantee that his head will burst from 100 meters away. In this aspect, I haven't met my match yet. Nonsense. Compared to the 100m shooting, my result is clearly better. The fat man was not convinced. The skinny man covered the phone angrily and gave him a few more slaps. After beating the fat man up, the thin man continued, "Anyway, Boss Wong, don't worry. I promise I'll take care of this matter for you. You can rest assured." "What?" "I won't let you call next time. You can just tell your subordinates when the matter is done." All right, I know the rules. Don't worry, I won't bother Boss Wong anymore." Only then did the thin man hang up the phone and then looked at the fat man with a smile. "I say, dog's leftovers, it's done this time. This Boss Wong is so generous that he transferred another 100,000 yuan to me. Let's get 2 good guns and shoot that Bradley fan." "Oh my God, so much money." "Brother, I know. Let's buy a Type 95. I use this for target practice in the army. I'm used to it, 95, my ass, my ass." The skinny man slapped him a few more times. "Are you fucking stupid? Type 95 is the army's gun. Where do you expect me to get one? It's good enough to get 2 Type 54 Black Stars. Then where are we going to buy it? Last time Hualong made it, it was you who cheated and won it. Haven't you heard of the saying, money makes the world go round?" The skinny man rubbed his hands. His face was slightly red. "We came out to do big things. If we don't make some money, where are we going to put our faces? Now, it's almost spring planting time, yeah. Fuck." The skinny man slapped the fat man again. "What the fuck are you thinking about? Do you want to go back to farming?" No. It's just a little cold." The fat man squatted in the snow, rubbing his hands and blowing into his palms. "Look at you. Your dad praises you every day, saying that you're the martial star." The fat man rolled his eyes. "Isn't my dad an old faker? He even said that you're the literati star. You didn't even get into high school. Cut the bullshit. Anyway, after this job, we'll have money." The skinny man took off his down jacket and covered the fat man. "Brother, aren't you cold?" "Cold my ass, I have a lot of firepower." "Brother, you're awesome. It's good that you know. Finish this job, then I'll bring you to have a good new year. I'll find dozens of girls to warm you up." The two squatted in the snow and laughed wretchedly. On the other side, a gentleman with gold-rimmed glasses hung up the phone and looked at another man in front of him. This man looked to be in his 60s or 70s. He had white hair and a youthful face. His eyes were bright and full of expression. "Master, I've already told them." "Jiang, are these 2 reliable people you found?" The old man touched his beard and looked at his eldest disciple suspiciously. "Don't worry, master. These 2 are known as the most famous assassins in the Northeast. With the 2 of them, it'll be a piece of cake. Even if something happens, they'll contact me through a temporary account. No one will be able to find us." "Well, don't complicate the issue." The old man sighed. "I'm old and can't fight anymore, so I can only use this method. It's really a disgrace to the martial arts practitioners." "Master, don't say that. You're the president of the Martial Arts Association. How can we trouble you with this kind of small character? We, your disciples and grand disciples, will help you with this. I know you're filial. The old man lit a pipe and held it in his hand. In today's society, if there's a little thing, it will immediately become a big deal. This bow, that circle, it's not responsible at all. A few stars said that our martial arts association is bullying the new martial arts club. It's really absurd. They don't understand how difficult this industry is and how strict the rules are. Master, don't worry. After this is done, it has nothing to do with our martial arts association. The eldest disciple surnamed Jiang smiled. Master, don't worry. At the same time, the limousine arrived at the entrance of the martial arts club. Imperial concubine Zhou tidied up her hair and walked down. Li Fan followed her down. He was obviously a man, but his face was a little red. He really didn't expect that the noble imperial concubine Zhou would be so wild on the bed. The two people's dual cultivation was really effective. In just a moment, Li Fan felt that his vitality had increased a little. At night, the martial arts club was closed. The lights inside were turned off and it was quiet. The two directly opened the door and took the elevator to the basement. This basement was a private training ground. Only a few people knew about it. Even the cleaning was done by Lu Xiaohu and Jiang Yi. The area of the training ground was more than 300 square meters. It was very spacious and surrounded by green potted plants. It was very suitable for recuperation. After entering, Lu Xiaohu and Jiang Yi were already sitting cross-legged on both sides of the training ground, ready to go. Chapter 1151. Jiang Yi and Lu Xiaohu sat face to face. The two did not make a move, but waited for the arrival of their master. Dragon Girl did not follow Li Fan to Imperial concubine Zhou's place. She also sat in the underground training ground, lying on the ground and eating snacks. There was a small pad in front of her, swinging her legs, looking very happy. This girl really knew how to enjoy herself. Yo, you're back. Seeing Li Fan and Imperial concubine Zhou coming out of the elevator, Dragon Girl greeted, "You've been here for so long, did you enjoy it? Get lost, don't talk nonsense." In front of his two disciples, Li Fan's old face was somewhat embarrassed. I and Imperial concubine Zhou were just comparing some martial arts, and we also had a meal, so we were delayed for some time. You two have a plump complexion and a spring glow in your eyes. Obviously, you have just had intercourse. Do you think I can't see it? Dragon Girl put on an experienced appearance, making Li Fan speechless. This Dragon Girl is a professional for 50 years. Li Fan was also helpless. He really could not win against this girl. She was reasonable. Indeed, we just had a double cultivation. Imperial concubine Zhou did not care and casually agreed. You little girl, your face is still childish. Although you're not young, you're still young, right? But after all, she was an imperial concubine and was used to being arrogant. How could she be bullied by Dragon Girl? How can you feel the word pleasure when you've never experienced it before? Imperial concubine Zhou's question immediately made Dragon Girl dumbfounded. What kind of person was this? His words were so reasonable that she was stumped by his questions. The women around Li Fan did not seem to be simple. Master. At this time, Jiang Yi and Lu Xiaohu also turned around and kowtowed to Li Fan. Dispense with the formalities. Li Fan pointed to Imperial concubine Zhou beside him. Today's battle between the two of you, undead evil Buddha, Imperial concubine Zhou will be the witness. Thank you, Imperial concubine. The two bowed to Imperial concubine Zhou again. Remember, the battle between the two of you is sacred and inviolable. Even I, as your master, should not interfere. However, if the other party's life is in danger, I will definitely intervene. Got it? Li Fan had said everything in advance. Remember? The two disciples nodded, then took a few steps back and looked at each other. Junior sister, as your senior brother, I will not be lenient this time. Lu Xiaohu entered the state of the Black Tiger Emperor as soon as he came up. His aura was imposing, bringing with it a strong sense of oppression. However, Jiang Yi didn't say anything, but he wasn't inferior either. She stood there with her hands stretched out in front of her, like a poisonous snake, staring at Lu Xiaohu. Jiang Yi did not underestimate her senior brother. She also activated her Dragon King snake form. Tonight, Li Fan's two disciples would officially start a contest here. Li Fan was also relieved. With him and Imperial concubine Zhou watching the battle, there would be no danger to their lives. Secondly, this basement was specially built. After a whole month of construction, the original basement was strengthened several times with alloys. This basement could even be bombed by missiles. Let the battle begin. Imperial concubine Zhou said in a sweet voice. Her voice was not loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. The moment her voice left her mouth, the two of them jumped out at the same time. The two of them were like meteors, colliding in the air. Lu Xiaohu used Tiger Claw and Jiang Yi used Snake Fist. The two of them exchanged blows in the air and separated. The powerful true qi spread out and impacted the surroundings. There was a thin layer of floating dust on the floor, which was directly blown up. Tiger Cannon. Lu Xiaohu took 2 steps back. His left hand dragged his right wrist and rushed toward his junior sister. A ball of true qi shot out from his palm and quickly flew toward her. Dragon Shattering Hand. Jiang Yi instantly saw the weakness of this move. Instead of retreating, she moved forward and pierced through Lu Xiaohu's true qi shot. Puff! The true qi shot broke, raising a little smoke in the air. It did not produce the expected attack effect. But Jiang Yi took the opportunity to move forward. Her body was like a snake, almost sticking to the ground. She moved left and right a few times and instantly appeared in front of Lu Xiaohu. Jiang Ye's 5 fingers were like the fangs of a poisonous snake. In the next second, they were in front of Lu Xiaohu's throat. Lu Xiaohu used 3 fingers of his left hand to buckle Jiang Ye's arm, locking her attack. At the same time, his right elbow knocked forward, hitting Jiang Ye's chest. A black tiger fiercely climbs the mountain, 3 consecutive hits, causing Jiang Yi to be stunned. Finally, Lu Xiaohu's palm clasped Jiang Ye's forehead and pressed it to the ground. But Jiang Ye's legs directly wrapped around Lu Xiaohu's arm, causing Lu Xiaohu's last attack to fail. Break! Jiang Ye's body turned, twisting Lu Xiaohu's arm. This move could be said to be extremely dangerous. Even Li Fan slightly frowned when he saw this. Martial arts came from the heart. Jiang Ye's moves were very ruthless, and Lu Xiaohu liked to hold back. If they fought like this, Lu Xiaohu's strength was a little weaker, so he would obviously suffer a big loss. Would he not be able to keep his arm? Li Fan wanted to move, but Imperial concubine Zhou pressed down on his shoulder. The moment Lu Xiaohu's arm was twisted, he suddenly let out a roar. Roar! The dust on the ground floated up again, and Jiang Ye's body slightly trembled, his movement slow by a second. Fierce Tiger Roar. Lu Xiaohu used this move to intimidate his junior sister. He took the opportunity to withdraw his right hand, then took 2 steps back, readjusted his rhythm, and assumed the posture of a fierce tiger descending the mountain. Half of Jiang Ye's body was on the ground, and his hands were stretched forward, waiting to give Lu Xiaohu a fatal attack. Li Fan was sweating as he watched. These two people were really too dangerous. Especially Jiang Yi, who was really like a poisonous snake. Every time he attacked, he would take a life, without mercy. Lu Xiaohu also seemed to feel the danger of Jiang Yi, but he took 2 steps forward, and at the same time, both his hands clenched into claws, stretched them out, and placed them in front of his body, making the gesture of a fierce tiger roaring. Behind him, true energy quickly condensed, and a fierce tiger faintly appeared, making a roaring appearance. From the tiger's mouth, a true energy bullet was spat out, rushing toward Jiang Yi. Jiang Yi was shocked and slid back, and the true energy bullet fell to the ground, breaking the floor. Martial God True Body. Li Fan was a little surprised. Although it was only a silhouette, it already had the form. Regarding the cultivation method of the martial God True Body, Li Fan had taught them before. However, this was a matter of talent, and not everyone could comprehend it. Unexpectedly, Lu Xiaohu actually comprehended a little bit, and in this battle, he even displayed the power of the martial God True Body. How is it? Do you know how powerful senior brother is? Lu Xiaohu looked quite proud. You call this the martial God True Body? Jiang Yi sneered coldly, illusory, like a fart. Chapter 1152. It was like a fart. This scolding made Lu Xiaohu blush a little. I'm still a prototype. Lu Xiaohu's cheeks were flushed as he shouted, You're just envious. Is that so? Jiang Yi sneered, and then her body emitted a blue true energy. This blue true energy also had a little black light, as if it was hiding a murderous aura. Your little disciple is not bad. Imperial concubine Zhou seemed to admire Jiang Yi. Can you give her to this imperial concubine and let this imperial concubine teach her? Forget it. Li Fan was shocked. If imperial concubine Zhou taught her, wouldn't it be terrible? One imperial concubine Zhou was enough. Li Fan didn't want his disciple to become the second imperial concubine Zhou. That's a pity. She was originally a piece of unpolished jade. Imperial concubine Zhou looked very regretful. Everyone has the heart to cherish talents. At this time, Jiang Ye's true energy condensed into the shape of a poisonous snake behind her. It was actually the martial god True Body. Both of them learned Xingyi martial arts, so their true bodies were also shaped like animals. This was the most basic martial god True Body, but the two of them were young and had already comprehended it. It was really rare. Lu Xiaohu was dumbfounded. He didn't expect that his junior sister would also comprehend this technique. Martial God True Body, this was the highest realm that a martial artist could cultivate. First, it was the most basic martial God True Body. Just like the two of them, it was only a silhouette, and the posture was relatively primitive. One step further, it should be like his master's flying lion goddess or imperial concubine Zhou's demon fox, which was similar to a human's posture. One more level, it would be the second stage of martial god True Body that his master had displayed. He didn't even dare to think about it now. He also thought for a long time before comprehending this technique, but his junior sister actually comprehended it. But this is also good, it's fair and interesting. Lu Xiaohu pushed his tiger fist, and the fierce tiger behind him suddenly opened its bloody mouth and pounced toward Jiang Yi. Jiang Yi didn't panic. The poisonous snake behind her rushed forward and actually wrapped around the fierce tiger's body, locking its body, and then bit toward the tiger's neck. The fierce tiger turned its head, and at the moment the poisonous snake bit down, it spat out a true energy bullet. The venomous snake had crushed the tiger's head, and the vital chi bullet had crushed the snake's body. The two enormous martial god True Bodies slowly dissipated in the air. Jiang Yi calculated step by step and lured Lu Xiaohu into the trap little by little. However, Li Fan liked Lu Xiaohu's calmness in the face of danger. The two disciples each took a step back, their faces somewhat pale. After all, the martial god True Body had been destroyed, and it had somewhat affected their true chi. Tiger leap. Lu Xiaohu liked to attack. He suddenly leaped forward with an unstoppable momentum. In an instant, he crossed the distance of 5 or 6 meters and landed in front of Jiang Yi. Lu Xiaohu's tiger claw went straight for Jiang Yi's face. Jiang Yi used Spirit Snake Coil and locked Lu Xiaohu's tiger claw with his left arm. However, Lu Xiaohu's other hand grabbed over from another direction. Jiang Yi seemed to be prepared for this. He used Spirit Snake Entanglement again and sealed Lu Xiaohu's other hand. Jiang Yi's palm was aimed at Lu Xiaohu's throat, and his next move was to strangle him. However, Lu Xiaohu let out a fierce tiger roar, once again intimidating Jiang Yi. Then, he followed up with a fierce tiger tail whip and kicked Jiang Yi. Jiang Yi, who should have been intimidated, laughed instead. She actually moved freely. At the same time, she raised her right leg and used Spirit Snake Coil to lock Lu Xiaohu's calf again. She caught Lu Xiaohu's body and leaped into the air. Her left leg aimed at Lu Xiaohu's heart and kicked fiercely. Bang! Thump thump thump. Lu Xiaohu slid 3 meters away and took 3 steps back before he could stabilize his body. Impossible, Lu Xiaohu was a little surprised. He covered his chest and looked at his junior sister. Why didn't you eat Fierce Tiger Roar? Senior brother, I've already used the move twice and it's no longer effective. Jiang Yi pointed to her ears. I had already predicted that you would use this move, so I temporarily sealed my ears with true qi. Jiang Yi continued to lay traps for Lu Xiaohu, feeling like a tiger entering a snake's den. Since that's the case, let's fight fair and square. Lu Xiaohu said as he jumped over and continuously attacked Jiang Yi with his claws. His attacks were exceptionally ferocious. His continuous attacks actually forced River Yi to continuously retreat. In terms of frontal attacks, Master's Tiger Strike is the strongest. Lu Xiaohu gave up all thoughts and let himself fight according to his instincts. This made his punches more ferocious and made his steps more stable. Even Jiang Yi seemed to be a little surprised. She probably didn't expect that her senior brother had such potential. Lu Xiaohu's series of attacks forced Jiang Yi to mess up her steps. She was unsteady and looked like she was about to fall. Good chance. Lu Xiaohu was overjoyed. He waved his hands in front of him and the true qi in his body instantly went berserk. Hungry tiger out of the cage. At that moment, Lu Xiaohu was ready to launch an even more powerful series of attacks to take down his junior sister. But at this moment, his body suddenly stiffened. The hungry tiger out of the cage was actually not used. Jiang Yi, on the other hand, stabilized her body with a sneer on her face. You're still too inexperienced. You. What did you do? Lu Xiaohu gritted his teeth, but his body didn't listen to him. Every move just now, I hit the acupuncture points on your body. Although I didn't learn the crane strike, if I hit more acupuncture points, the effect will be there. Now, I have temporarily sealed the acupuncture points on your body. So, senior brother, from the beginning, you fell into my trap. As Jiang Yi spoke, she moved forward and used the dragon-shattering hand, aiming straight at Lu Xiaohu's shoulder. This time, she showed mercy because she felt that she would win. According to her master's instructions, it would be enough to punish her senior brother. However, a glimmer of light flashed in Lu Xiaohu's eyes. At that moment, Jiang Yi felt that the strength in her body was suddenly sucked away. She slashed her palm on Lu Xiaohu's shoulder, but it didn't cause any damage. Instead, her body was sent flying by the true qi. Jiang Yi was shocked. Did she miscalculate? Junior sister, I'm sorry. In addition to martial arts, I also know some superpowers. Lu Xiaohu winked at Jiang Yi. My ability is to eliminate. In the past, I could eliminate other people's superpowers, but now I can temporarily eliminate other people's true chi. Although the time is short, it's quite effective, isn't it? So that's how it is. No wonder Master chose you. You're indeed a little special. The true chi in Jiang Ye's body had already recovered. She stood up again and suppressed the true chi with both hands, adjusting her body. In that case, I'll admit your strength. Are you going to respect senior brother from the bottom of your heart? Lu Xiaohu was a little happy. No, I'm going to use all my strength to defeat you. Chapter 1153. As Jiang Yi said that, she suddenly leaped into the air, jumping more than 3 meters high, and then flipped in the air. Serpent transforming into dragon. Jiang Ye's body flipped in the air, and her aura seemed to change. She directly struck a palm at Lu Xiaohu who was below. Dragon King Seal. Bang! Lu Xiaohu was pressured by the powerful palm wind, half kneeling on the ground, and a huge palm print appeared around him, left on the ground of this underground dojo. Li Fan was a little surprised, serpent transforming into dragon strike. His little disciple actually broke through her own shackles and forcibly transformed the serpent strike into dragon strike. This is a bit too powerful. Jiang Yi instantly landed, her left hand holding a ball of true energy ball, and with a dragon spitting pearl, she prepared to blast her senior brother's body at close range. And at that moment, Lu Xiaohu's hand was placed on his chest. His body suddenly disappeared from this place, and Jiang Ye's palm hit the ground, and the dragon spitting pearl continuously tore the floor apart. Jiang Ye's eyes flashed with shock, and the next second, Lu Xiaohu appeared beside her, and at the same time, a flying knee strike hit her body. Bang! Jiang Yi flew out, her body spun in the air, and finally smashed into the wall behind her. This alloy wall was smashed into a crooked shape. And Lu Xiaohu, like a shadow, appeared in front of her, and his finger stopped in front of her throat. Junior sister, you lost. Jiang Yi stuck to the wall, like a hanging painting, and slowly slid down. She looked at her senior brother in front of her, and there seemed to be some unwillingness in her eyes. How did you do it? Jiang Yi endured the internal injury and asked. With my ability. Lu Xiaohu explained, my ability can temporarily eliminate objects or energy. I had wondered if I could temporarily erase myself. I tried it one day, and it really worked. Are you an idiot? Jiang Yi almost died from anger. Aren't you afraid of killing yourself? How could that be? I've experimented with frogs, and they're still alive and well. Lu Xiaohu hurriedly emphasized that his IQ is not low. I've done many clinical trials, there's no problem. Idiot. I actually lost to an idiot. Hey, who are you calling an idiot? Jiang Yi seemed to be very sad. Li Fan walked up to her, took out a spring-returning pill, stuffed it into her mouth, and used his innate qi to help her dissolve the medicinal effects. Jiang Yi, you're very strong, and you've surprised me, really. Li Fan patted Jiang Ye's head. You're just too competitive and scheming. There are many unexpected factors in a martial arts competition, you know? I understand, Master. Jiang Yi seemed to have understood something. What Master means is that I should take a few more steps into consideration and include all unexpected factors. That's right. Thank you for your guidance, Master. With that, Jiang Yi knelt down and kowtowed to his master a few times. Li Fan was rather helpless. This girl was really stubborn. In this aspect, she was very similar to her brother, Jiang Feng. In short, I won. Lu Xiaohu also ate a vitality-restoring pill and was recovering his true qi on the side. He waved his fist happily. I'm very happy that I've protected eldest senior brother's dignity. You too, you're too reckless. Li Fan glared at Lu Xiaohu. You actually made yourself disappear. What if it's like what your junior sister said and you can't come back? That won't happen, master. I've tried it a few times. There's no problem. Lu Xiaohu touched the back of his head and said a little embarrassedly. This ability of mine is actually not called elimination, but transfer. Transfer? Yes. Lu Xiaohu nodded. I've tried it a few times. I always made myself appear in a strange space. In that space, there was a starry sky everywhere, as if it was a universe. I felt someone was there, but I couldn't find anyone. In short, it was very safe. Really? Li Fan was a little curious. Why don't you try it on me? No, master, it's too dangerous. Jiang Yi hurriedly stopped him. What's so dangerous about it? I've tried it myself. Lu Xiaohu emphasized. You see, I'm back in one piece. I didn't even lose a piece of meat. Your skin is rough and your flesh is thick. How can you compare to master? Jiang Yi glared. Okay, you guys stop arguing. Li Fan's curiosity was piqued. Come, Xiaohu, try it. Okay, master. The effect is about half a minute, so you don't have to worry. Lu Xiaohu said as he looked at Li Fan. His eyes flashed. Li Fan's body immediately disappeared from the dojo. Jiang Yi was a little anxious. Idiot. If master doesn't come back, I'll kill you to accompany him. Don't jinx it. I'll be back in a while. In the end, after 30 seconds, Li Fan did not appear. Lu Xiaohu was dumbfounded. What's going on? And Li Fan was transferred to an illusory space. There was a starry sky everywhere. There was not a single figure, not even a single life. Hey, is there no one? Li Fan shouted loudly. His voice was filled with yuan qi, but no one responded even after a long distance. And at this moment, a huge planet entered Li Fan's sight. The sun rose from the other side of the planet, illuminating the landscape of the planet. The blue planet was full of vitality, and the sun swept away the darkness. Are you shocked? A voice sounded in Li Fan's ear. Li Fan was taken aback. He turned his head and found a man standing beside him. This man had a strange charm that attracted his gaze. This is life, different from the rest. You are. Li Fan heard from Lu Xiaohu that there was no life in this space. But now, why did a mysterious man appear? And he seemed to have a powerful force that he could not see through. You can call me Lu Igua. The man stood beside Li Fan with his hands behind his back. I'm the great cosmos god here. Great cosmos god. What the hell? I occasionally saw an interesting friend appear, so I asked you to stay for a while. You. I don't quite understand what you're saying. You don't need to understand. After all, this isn't your world. Lu Igua laughed. There are many worlds in this world. You and I are just a drop in the ocean. Many worlds. Yes. Lu Igua nodded. In the unseen world, there seems to be a creator who created millions of worlds. And I, as the protector, protect all of them. It sounds quite amazing. Can I become a great cosmos god? No. Why? Li Fan was slightly unconvinced. You might be interesting, but you aren't someone I want to challenge. Alright, let's chat for a while to kill some loneliness. You can go back now. Lu Igua waved his hand. Li Fan suddenly trembled, and his vision immediately turned black. When he opened his eyes again, he had already returned to his Dao dojo. Chapter 1154. Great Cosmos God. Hearing Li Fan's question, Dragon Girl, who was busy eating snacks, tilted her head and glanced at Li Fan. What the hell is that? I've never heard of it. Seems like you don't know either. It's really strange. Li Fan had asked Lu Xiaohu to send him to that space again, but it had not succeeded. Lu Xiaohu's ability seemed to have lost its effect on Li Fan. Did that world reject him? Although Li Fan was unwilling, he seemed to be helpless. Lu Igwe was too strong, as if they were in a different dimension. Li Fan always felt that he could cultivate stronger there, as if he could reach an unprecedented level. Unfortunately, all of this was just a fleeting cloud that disappeared in the blink of an eye, and the opportunity wasn't grasped in his hand. Now is not the time to talk about this. Dragon Girl stared at Li Fan. Today is New Year's Eve, aren't you going to buy more delicious food? Li Fan was speechless. The warehouse behind is full of your snacks, is it not enough for you? The more the better. Dragon Girl was a standard foodie. There's never enough delicious food. By the way, who's coming for New Year's? The twins and Shin Chen are busy with work outside. At night, Jiang Yi and Xiaohu will definitely be there, and Xiaowan will come too. Murong loves Xiaowan, and they will probably come back together at night. Lin Yuhsin went home for New Year's, and Xia Yi and the others will be in City A for New Year's. Li Fan calculated carefully. This year's New Year's would probably not be as lively as in previous years. The escort agency had the most people, and they were busy with the gold medal escorts. However, with the changes in the martial arts world, the gold medal escorts event could not be held anymore. Li Fan was the last gold-ranked escort. At this time, in the escort world, no one dared to compete with Li Fan for this title. If it weren't for Li Fan, the profession of being an armed escort would have completely disappeared. Li Fan was the only one who could stand up to the Imperial Guards. There won't be many people this year. It's okay, as long as you eat a lot. The Dragon Lady was fine with anything. I wonder what it's like to celebrate the new year in modern society. In the past, it was very interesting. We could even go to the temple fair. There's a lot of good food there. There are no more temple fairs during the new year. Everyone is busy going home for the new year. Li Fan stood in front of the window and looked out at the streets. Especially in this city, where it doesn't snow in winter, there's not much of a festive atmosphere. Then you have to prepare more delicious food. Dragoness licked her lips. She seemed to be a little hungry now. We eat dumplings during Chinese New Year. What fillings do you like? Li Fan prepared to cook personally. Do they still eat dumplings during Chinese New Year? The Dragon Girl was a little surprised. I thought this habit had changed. I didn't expect it to still be there. Some traditions are still upheld. Didn't you eat a pile of meat dumplings during the Dragon Boat Festival? How do you remember it so clearly? The Dragoness was very thick-skinned and would not feel shy about these things. As for me, I'm a very simple person. As long as it's meat filling, it's fine. You're really simple. Li Fan was especially speechless. He tidied up and went to the dojo's kitchen. The equipment in the dojo's cafeteria was very advanced. Usually, there would be a chef cooking inside. After all, the dojo also had its own cafeteria window and was responsible for the disciples' meals. Master, why are you cooking personally? Seeing Li Fan put on an apron and walked into the kitchen, Jiang Yi hurriedly followed. Let me cook. The chef had already gone home for Chinese New Year. In such a large dojo, there were only Li Fan and a few others. It's okay. It's just cooking. There's no need to be so exaggerated. But, how can I let Master do this? Master is a man. You're a little girl, how can you be so chauvinistic? Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. Don't you think a man who can cook is also very charming? Ah. Jiang Yi was stunned. Then, she looked at Lu Xiaohu who was lying outside and basking in the sun. Then, she looked at Li Fan who was using beautiful knife skills to cut vegetables in the kitchen. It seemed that it made some sense. This imperial concubine is here. Is there no one to greet me? The voice of imperial concubine Zhou came from outside the door. Li Fan looked back and saw imperial concubine Zhou wearing a beautiful traditional Chinese dress slowly walking in from the door. I know you have no one to cook. Go and use the kitchen well. Imperial concubine Zhou ordered. From behind, more than 10 star chefs came into the kitchen and began to help Li Fan. Hey, Li Fan's mood to cook was interrupted. He looked at imperial concubine Zhou with some displeasure. What are you doing? Helping you. Imperial concubine Zhou casually said, after all, this imperial concubine's appetite is very picky. Ordinary food can't enter this imperial concubine's mouth. But, didn't you also eat happily? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Do you want to be chewed and eaten by this imperial concubine? Imperial concubine Zhou smilingly asked Li Fan. Ahem, then let them cook. Let's get busy with something else. Since imperial concubine Zhou also came to celebrate the new year, it added some liveliness. These chefs, aren't they celebrating the new year? Li Fan asked. Compared to celebrating the new year, they are more willing to make money. Imperial concubine Zhou smiled sweetly. All right. Then what should we do? Li Fan felt that celebrating the new year was also a worrisome thing. How about celebrating the new year? Imperial concubine Zhou asked. Ahem, with his apprentices around, Li Fan's old face turned red. This imperial concubine Zhou was getting more and more presumptuous. Let's give out red packets first. Li Fan took out the red packets that he had already prepared. Come, apprentices, accept the red packets. Happy New Year, Master. His 2 apprentices gave their New Year greetings to Li Fan and accepted the red packets. Dragon Girl was obviously Li Fan's mentor, but she also accepted one and happily accepted it. You're not giving it to this imperial concubine. Imperial concubine Zhou sat next to him and looked at Li Fan with some resentment. You. So rich. Are you blaming this empress? All right. Li Fan obediently handed over the red packet with 1,000 yuan inside. It was just a gesture. Fortunately, I prepared a few more today. Just when Li Fan was rejoicing, 2 people came into the martial arts school. One fat and one thin, both wearing gray uniforms and masks. Is it the 7 Heroes Martial Arts School? As soon as the thin man came in, he shouted, the real estate bureau asked us to come and check your gas pipe. They also want to check during the new year. Lu Xiaohu was squatting at the door counting money. When he heard them talking, he couldn't help but be curious. Isn't it? It's not easy to do this kind of work. Just when the fat man opened his mouth to complain, the thin man patted his shoulder. What are you talking about? This is our job. Only after the inspection can everyone have a good new year. Then I'll thank you in advance. Li Fan pointed to the kitchen. They are cooking. Do you want to take a break first? When the 2 saw the bustling kitchen, they were a little dumbfounded. Chapter 1155. The atmosphere of the Lunar New Year was fading. This was how the people felt about New Year's Eve. For the Northeast assassin duo, New Year's Eve was a torture. If they could not finish their work, they would have no money. If they had no money, they could not celebrate the new year. In order to complete their work, the two of them disguised themselves as workers from the real estate bureau and openly entered the Chisho martial arts school. They wanted to take the opportunity to kill Li Fan, but they did not expect there to be so many people here. More than 10 chefs were busy in the kitchen, and they had no chance to intervene. "Brother, what should we do now?" The fat guy could not help but be anxious and was comforted by the skinny guy. "It's okay, we have time." "Wait." The skinny guy gritted his teeth. To achieve great things, one must have patience. The duo decided to lie low and wait for the chefs to leave before making their move. But things were getting more and more ridiculous. The door of the martial arts school was pushed open again, and a few martial artists entered. These martial artists were wearing black and red uniforms with the words "Wind Martial Arts School" printed on it. "You are Li Fan." The leader was a big and burly man. As soon as he came in, he shouted at the top of his lungs, "Boss." "Yes." Li Fan looked at the martial artist in front of him and maintained his manners. "The Harmony Wind Martial School. It should be the martial school across from us." Li Fan cupped his hands at him. "What can I do for you?" "I am the owner of Wind Martial Arts School, Wang Dali." The owner looked at Li Fan with displeasure. "I am here to challenge the school today. Unfortunately, it is New Year's Eve, and the school is not open." Li Fan gestured for the owner to leave. "Please go back." "Why, Li Fan, are you afraid?" Wang Dali sneered. "Since that is the case, let's begin." Li Fan took 2 steps forward, but Wang Dali raised his hand. "Sigh, my legs have been acting up recently, and I am not fit to compete." "What do you mean? Did I ask you to come here to play?" Lu Xiaohu was unhappy and stared at him. Wang Dali quickly said, "What's the hurry?" Wang Dali turned around, and the disciples behind him pushed out a young lady. The little girl was about 17 or 18 years old. She had a graceful figure and a clean and pretty face. She had a ponytail and was wearing a Daoist robe. She bowed to Li Fan. "Hello, Master Li, look, this is my daughter, Wang Xiaoran." Wang Dali said proudly. "She has already learned everything from me. It's not a problem to let her fight for me." "I see." Li Fan nodded. "This way, please." Inside was a place to study and attend classes. The courtyard outside was very clean, which was suitable for martial arts challenges. Murong liked to pick a courtyard for herself. It was very unique, and Li Fan liked it very much. When he had nothing to do, he liked to practice his fist technique in this courtyard. In the past, he used to practice the 7 Heroes fist. Recently, he had been practicing the dragon fighting technique. Li Fan wanted to familiarize himself with this set of martial arts. However, if he were to compete with this little girl, he would not be able to use the dragon battle technique. "Master Li, I am practicing the dragon capturing fish that was personally created by my father." Wang Xiaoran cupped her hands at Li Fan and said, "My father has a leg disease, so let me fight for him against you." Dragon capturing fist. In this world, is there really a dragon that can be captured? Li Fan pointed out something. The dragon girl at the side made a face. "Master Li, please be careful." After Wang Xiaoran finished speaking, she raised her head. The pretty and pure little girl was now like a little sheep. But at this moment, her eyes suddenly burst out with intense light. She was filled with fighting intent. It was as if she had changed into a different person. Li Fan thought, could it be that she is a Gemini? Hi! Wang Xiaoran immediately launched a fierce attack. She leaped forward and sent a flying knee straight at Li Fan. This flying knee had the fierceness of Muay Thai. This move was clean and beautiful. Even Li Fan could not help but want to praise it. Paw! Li Fan's body leaned to the side. This flying knee hit the tree behind Li Fan. This small tree swayed a bit, and a large piece of bark was smashed. For a little girl who had never practiced internal force, this was quite powerful. Wang Xiaoran's reaction was also very fast. She grabbed the tree with both hands and used the tree as a support. Her whole body lifted up and kicked horizontally at Li Fan. Li Fan stretched out his hands and blocked in front of him. He did not use internal force, so he was kicked back a step. Yo! Lu Xiaohu was a little surprised. She can actually force Master to retreat. Amazing! Humph, if Master used internal force, this kind of small character would not be able to get close. Jiang Yi curled his lips, feeling quite unhappy. There's no other way. This is the martial arts prohibition period. Moreover, the other party does not know internal force. If we use internal force, wouldn't we be bullying them? Jianghu is a place where the weak are prey to the strong. Master is too kind. Jiang Yi missed his master who wore a tiger mask. Don't worry, Master is just playing with that little girl. She is older than you. Well. Master is just playing with that little sister. That's all, right? Why is a man so talkative? Fuck, Lu Xiaohu wanted to curse. As for that girl, she was in a stalemate with Li Fan. She kept attacking Li Fan fiercely. Li Fan was not in a hurry. He retreated step by step, avoiding the opponent's attack. Master, look, junior sister has forced the other party to retreat. Yes, junior sister is so powerful. The people from the Wind Martial Arts School were all clapping their hands and praising. Wang Dali was very proud, stroking his mustache. This dragon-capturing fist is really good. As Li Fan retreated, he did not forget to praise the girl. You are so young, but you can practice martial arts to such a level, it is worthy of praise. Thank you for your praise, Master Li, but I will not be lenient. The girl's face slightly blushed. She seemed to be a little happy, but she suppressed it. I will not be arrogant. After saying that, the girl directly swept her leg toward Li Fan's cheek. Li Fan leaned back, dodging the girl's leg whip. However, the girl actually stopped the inertia and raised her leg high into the air, as if she was raising a battle axe. Big Bang technique. The girl's leg chopped down toward Li Fan's body. The momentum is indeed amazing. Li Fan stretched out his hands, lowered his body, and used his hands to catch the chopped-down kick. Taking advantage of the girl's exclamation, he grabbed her leg and directly threw her out. The girl's hands propped on the ground, directly somersaulted, and restabilized her body. So powerful, masterly, the girl raised her head and looked at Li Fan, worthy to be an expert who repelled other martial arts schools. There is indeed a need to challenge. Well, you are very powerful. From now on, I will seriously fight with you. Li Fan put one hand behind his back and hooked his finger at the girl. You? Letting me use only one hand is considered serious. Chapter 1156. N. Li Fan nodded seriously. Come on, little girl. Don't look down on me. The girl seemed to be a little angry. She adjusted her posture, stepped forward, and threw out a blast punch. This dragon-subduing fist technique, every punch was a 1-inch punch. If the punch landed on a person's body, even with true energy protection, it would still hurt. But Li Fan stretched out his hand, grabbed the girl's wrist, and pulled her back. The girl lost her balance, and Li Fan followed up with a knee strike, hitting the girl's lower abdomen. The girl was in pain, took a step back, and held her stomach. Ah, junior sister is at a disadvantage. Master, what should we do? The people from Wind Martial School asked Wang Dolly. What are you worrying about? It's common to be at a disadvantage in a duel. My daughter will be able to suppress it in a while. Wang Dolly forced himself to calm down. But he understood in his heart, to be able to use one hand to make his daughter at a disadvantage, this was something that even he could not do. This Li Fan, was he really that strong? Come, let's continue. Li Fan beckoned to Wang Xiaoran. Don't be too proud. Wang Xiaoran took a few steps forward, and appeared in front of Li Fan again. This step was a modern boxing technique, and Wang Xiaoran had mastered it well, as if it was at her fingertips. She turned around and went behind Li Fan, then turned around and kicked again. This time, it was a whip kick, coming from behind towards Li Fan. Li Fan did not even turn his head. He pushed his shoulder with one hand, and directly grabbed the girl's calf. The girl exclaimed, not knowing how Li Fan deduced that she would kick from behind. Lie down. Li Fan knocked back, and directly sent Wang Xiaoran flying, smashing in front of him. Li Fan aimed at Wang Xiaoran's head, and directly kicked out. The tip of his shoe was only a finger's length away from Wang Xiaoran's temple. The people from the Wind Martial Arts School were terrified, but Li Fan stopped at the most critical moment and spared Wang Xiaoran's life. This is the end. Li Fan retracted his leg and extended his hand towards Wang Xiaoran, who was lying on the ground. Thank you, Master Li. Wang Xiaoran was defeated, and she accepted her defeat wholeheartedly. The challenge on New Year's Eve ended with her defeat. Although I lost, I'm very happy. Wang Xiaoran bowed to Li Fan. If possible, please allow me to study in your dojo. What? Wang Dolly was dumbfounded when he heard this. My dear daughter, what do you mean? Father, I want to take Master Li as my master. Wang Xiaoran said with certainty, Master Li is very strong. What? Is your father's kung fu not good enough? Father's dragon capturing fist is also very powerful. But if I want to become even stronger, I need someone like Master Li to teach me. Wang Xiaoran insisted, please accept me, Master Li. Sure. Li Fan pulled Wang Xiaoran up. You can take me as your master. This is a dojo, and I welcome anyone to learn martial arts. About that, let's talk about it later. Wang Dolly felt a little sour at the side. Let's go back for the new year first. Father. Wang Xiaoran had already thrown caution to the wind. I want to be Master Li's disciple, so I have to stay at Master Li's house for the next 2 years. For these 2 years, please don't miss me, Father. Li Fan felt that Wang Dolly was about to burst into tears. Being a disciple is equivalent to being an advanced student. Lu Xiaohu quickly added on for his master, the school fees are very expensive. It's more than 100,000 a year. It's alright, my father will pay for me. Wang Xiaoran turned to look at her father, right? Father. Yes, yes. I'll listen to you. Wang Dolly was about to cry. As long as my daughter likes it, I'm fine with anything. Great fatherly love. Lu Xiaohu was touched. It had been a long time since he went home to visit. Father, then I'll be staying here today. Tell mother not to worry about me. Wang Dolly left with a sad face. His daughter becoming someone else's disciple was probably a blow to him. There's a dormitory in the martial arts club, you can eat and stay here. Li Fan led Wang Xiaoran into the martial arts club, but you can also stay at home. After all, your home is in G City. No, I've decided to eat and stay with Master and work hard to learn martial arts. Wang Xiaoran was determined, I like to practice martial arts. This is what I should do. Oh. I heard that there's a place called Pugilistic World, and there's a chief of Pugilistic World, named Muronging. Wang Xiaoran seemed to be yearning. I want to be a woman like her. Eat and stay together for 2 years. Li Fan asked, You're not going to school anymore? Thank you for your concern, master. I'm 17 this year and have finished my 3rd year of high school. Li Fan wanted to curse. Another fucking genius girl. I'll study with master for 2 years, then I'll take the college entrance exam. It's not too late to go to university at 19 years old, right? It's not too late. Li Fan was speechless. How could all the women he knew be so smart? She's only 16 years old and has a foundation in martial arts. If she follows me for 2 years, she should be able to learn very well. In this way, I finally have a student in my advanced class. This new year seems to be a bit lively. Li Fan returned to his martial arts club. The chefs that Imperial concubine Zhou hired were still busy preparing all kinds of sumptuous meals. Hey, why aren't your chefs done yet? Li Fan looked at the 2 workers who were still waiting and couldn't help but ask Imperial concubine Zhou, who was standing in front of the table. At this time, there was a zither placed in front of Imperial concubine Zhou. Imperial concubine Zhou seemed to be tuning it carefully, as if she was looking at her own child. Today is New Year's Eve. I've ordered them to make 108 sumptuous meals. Naturally, it will take longer. 108 sumptuous meals. Li Fan was also speechless. This was too fucking ridiculous. If not for the fact that many of them are protected animals, would have tasted the legendary Manchu Han Imperial Feast. Imperial concubine Zhou stroked her zither. Today is New Year's Eve. 108 sumptuous meals is already too little. Looking at these delicious dishes, the fat and thin duo swallowed their saliva. Wang Xiaoran was also somewhat surprised. This is too wasteful. Who is this little girl? Imperial concubine Zhou finally raised her head and saw Wang Xiaoran, who came in. Advanced class student, from now on, she will be my disciple. Just as Li Fan's voice fell, Imperial concubine Zhou suddenly appeared in front of him and pressed her hand on Wang Xiaoran's head. Wang Xiaoran was taken aback, but before she could react, her body couldn't move. Her body, along with Imperial concubine Zhou's hand, was slowly sucked up and floated in the air. This child doesn't have any internal force. Imperial concubine Zhou loosened her hand and Wang Xiaoran fell back to the ground. Chapter 1157. Wang Xiaoran did not understand what happened, but Imperial concubine Zhou had already returned to her seat, as if she had never been there. What a blank piece of paper, but she has quite the potential. Imperial concubine Zhou commented. The fat and skinny brothers were dumbfounded. What was going on? What was that woman's origin? Was she a monster? Master. What happened just now? Wang Xiaoran only felt a chill run through her body, and then her body was motionless. She flew into the air and then fell back down, and the chill faded. It's okay. Li Fan gently placed his hand on Wang Xiaoran's shoulder, and a warm current flowed into her body, warming her up again. This is called true qi. Jiang Yi seemed to be a little jealous. Master was too good to every new disciple. She pulled Wang Xiaoran to her side. You are in the advanced class, so you will slowly learn true qi. Wang Xiaoran still did not understand, and the fat and skinny brothers were still in shock. After the new year, Li Taiyi will also be back on vacation. Li Fan calculated, this Korean guy, I wonder how his martial arts are. Oh right, He Chi-Chi is also coming. Now that the business of the escort agency is not good, she plans to learn martial arts from me. Fortunately, Abe Haruko does not plan to come, or else I would not be able to teach her. Li Fan was a little clear-headed. That island country girl was a woman who did not do proper work. It was really too good. Master. What is true qi? Wang Xiaoran could not help but ask. She felt that she had opened the door to a strange world. Xiaoran, since you have already become my disciple, I should tell you about this. But before that, you should first get to know your senior brothers. Li Fan pointed at the people in front of him. This is the head disciple of the Seven Knights sect, Lu Xiaohu. When Li Fan introduced Lu Xiaohu, the kid's front teeth were almost crooked from smiling. Junior sister, from now on, follow your senior brother well. Your senior brother will protect you. Jiang Yi stood at the side with her arms crossed, dissatisfied. This is your second senior sister, Jiang Yi. Li Fan touched Jiang Ye's hair and comforted her. She usually does not like to talk, but she is actually a good person. Hello. Although they were both girls, Wang Xiaoran was much more intimate with them. This made Lu Xiaohu feel that it was very unfair, but he could only endure it. Who asked her to be a girl? You also have a third senior sister called Abe Haruko, but she's not here. A Japanese. Yes. Li Fan said that it was fate that he could accept her. Li Fan then introduced the rest of the disciples. Wang Xiaoran was the last to join the sect, so she became the junior sister. Our 7 chivalry sect practices the 7 chivalry fist. Li Fan continued, you probably don't know much about it. Yes, this is the first time I've heard of it. Wang Xiaoran thought for a moment, what kind of martial arts? This is also a kung fu I created myself. Li Fan explained, I'll get little Tiger to teach you the details later. From now on, your homework will be taught by Xiaohu. If there's anything you don't understand, you can come to me for advice. You want me to teach you? Wang Xiaoran was relieved. Since he was the head disciple, his kung fu should not be bad. Many martial arts sects were like this. The master would usually only accept one senior disciple and teach him kung fu in detail. As for the other disciples who entered later, the senior disciple would teach them. Moreover, since you're a senior disciple, what you learn is real kung fu. As Li Fan said that, he stretched out his palm and hit a pillar in front of him. Bam! A palm print was directly imprinted on the pillar. We practice inner force, also known as true qi. There's really true qi. Wang Xiaoran was dumbfounded. She had practiced martial arts for so many years, but this was the first time she saw the existence of true qi. However, there's currently a martial arts prohibition in the martial arts world. Since you've learned inner force, you must remember not to show it in front of others. Otherwise, the consequences will be very serious. Stupid martial arts prohibition. Imperial concubine Zhou could not help but ridicule. If this was the great Ming dynasty, this concubine would not let the emperor issue such a decree. It's really shameful. Don't listen to her. This is for the sake of your own life. Li Fan interrupted Imperial concubine Zhou's words, practicing martial arts is to strengthen the body, not to fight. Disciple will remember. Wang Xiaoran nodded. Since her master said so, she agreed. In 2 years, you should be able to reach the acme of perfection. Li Fan nodded, but there's no hurry. Let's eat something today. Master, please accept our worship. Just as Li Fan was about to arrange Wang Xiaoran's accommodation, the fat and thin duo suddenly knelt down in front of Li Fan and directly kowtowed 3 times. I was wondering when you're going to make your move. Why, you two don't want to kill me this time, but want to worship me as your master. Li Fan turned his head and looked at the 2 of them. You recognize the 2 of us. The thin man was surprised and then took off his mask. The fat man exclaimed, Brother, he seems really powerful. Nonsense. The thin man patted him and then kowtowed again in front of Li Fan. Master, both of us are from the countryside and want to be outstanding. I think you two can be more down to earth. Li Fan rejected their request to worship him as his master. It's better not to practice martial arts. Go home and work as a farmer. Master, when we were young, the two of us have practiced a little bit of Zhuang family style. We have some strength, please accept it. The thin man seemed to be eloquent. I know, learning martial arts requires a fee. I don't have much money, but I can serve you tea, run errands, and so on. I'll work for free as my tuition fee. What do you think? I have to work again. The fat man was dispirited. Idiot, is this work the same as working at home? The thin man kicked him from behind. Don't talk, you'll show your timidity when you talk. The two of you learn martial arts in order to be outstanding. Yes, we want to be outstanding and have a good reputation. Yes, we want to live a good life. The two of them nodded desperately. Why do the two of you think that practicing martial arts can make you outstanding? Because you're very strong. The thin man replied without hesitation, I also want to be as strong as you, so that I can bully others. Then your ultimate purpose of practicing martial arts is to bully others. Li Fan looked at the fat man. What about you? What's your purpose? Me. I want to marry a beautiful wife. The fat man said seriously, nowadays, beautiful girls only care about money, so I want to practice martial arts, then make money and finally marry a beautiful wife. I see. Li Fan nodded. You two are very honest, so this matter. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.